Ladies and gentlemen, the following is another amazing episode of the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society. In one corner, we have the Monarch of Mardi Gras, the Baroness of Bourbon Street. When she is not co-hosting Ringside Society, she's on crazy misadventures, such as destroying people's dinners, shopping for DeLoreans, and going back to 1885 for freshly churned butter, and picking fights with random people while dressed up as one of the Road Warriors. Louisiana's own Kathy Knight. In the second corner, we have the greatest thing on God's green earth. No, we're not talking about money, Mary Jane, or Popeye spinach. He is the Traquadart of Ringside Society and Delaware's greatest American hero. It takes two to make a thing go right. He is Rob Bass, and you are not. And the third corner, we have that ocean crossing, straight up Boston, flight catching, shot glass snatching, always on the go. Catch him if you can. Said his name in Guyana. Now they love him in Japan. No cap. The worldwide star boy, Remy Blue. And our special guest tonight is a man who wears many hats. He's a pro wrestling manager. He's a color commentator. He's a play-by-play commentator. He's an actor. He's a poet. He is a writer. And most of all, he's an Englishman living in the Lone Star State of Texas. Everybody, welcome to the show, Nigel Rabid.
Woo! That was a very involved introduction for all parties.
Nigel, thank you very much for being on the show. We really and truly do appreciate you, being on here. We know you're a busy man. You got a lot of things going on, especially with SWE Fury. We really and truly do appreciate it. But how is everything going in
It froze right there, and just how's everything going in, and then it dropped off. So, what was the rest of the question?
Yeah, I was saying how is everything going in Texas?
Texas it's hot. It's hot in Texas. Texas is very much like, for those of you who enjoy science fiction, plug for a new cinema film that's supposed to come 2020, but didn't come 2020 because 2020. It's very much like the desert planet Arrakis, or as better known in the novel Dune. It's hot. It's terribly hot. July this year has been not so hot. Usually we get 2-3 weeks. 1 year ago we got 30 days of consecutive 100+ degree temperatures. Hey Ryan. Other than that, professional wrestling is in I think in Texas, professional wrestling is in an ascendancy. We've got a lot of incredible companies that are either, especially post-pandemic, are really reviving themselves, breathing new life into themselves, either creatively or production-wise. And then, of course, there's SWE Fury, which is doing everything it can, and I think quite successfully to set the professional wrestling world either on its ear or on fire. So, whichever we seem to think is best at the time is what we try to do. But yeah, the sun is shining, and we've not seen an apocalypse yet. So I think that's very pleasant.
Oh, you're muted.
Muted.
That's a start. So I gotta say, Texas, man, I'm actually jealous of y'all because y'all have so much great talent there. It's unbelievable. I'm actually kind of jealous of Kathy. Not too jealous because she has to drive 4 or 5 hours to go see a show. But at the same time, she always makes it there and she has a great time. I'm stuck here in the middle of North Carolina, so there's not much going here. But hopefully, one day I'll get close enough to see a show and so on. I've seen a lot of things going on with SWE and many other promotions as well. So, my first question I got to ask is, and we're going to take a bit of a time traveling trip back. What was the event or the pay-per-view that made you become a fan of professional wrestling?
Interestingly enough, I don't consider an event or even a match what got me into professional wrestling. What got me into professional wrestling, believe it or not, was a children's school folder for for um, I think I got my family's been here since 1979, so I grew up in American schools. And I was going to one of the elementary schools at the time the family was living just outside of Cincinnati. And I went to a school, one of the little bookshops, where you keep, note pencils and, all the little, note pencils, notepads and pencils, all the little things that, a child wants to buy, but stores don't necessarily stock because you can't move them quite as well. And it was a folder of Ricky Steamboat before he became, the big ornate fire breathing Ricky the Dragon. They had done the very basic martial arts gi, kind of, stylizing him after Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon. And I'd seen this folder of Ricky Dragon and it had been like, oh, this looks very cool. I'm very interested in that. And then sometime shortly after that, I started catching WWE's broadcasting on local Saturday morning telly. But from that, the things that continued to grow my interest, the professional wrestling story angle, Greg the Hammer Valentine versus Rugged Ronnie Garvin, and that story was very. I mean, to this day, it's one of my favorite professional wrestling angles. Not my very favorite. My very favorite, which I never got a chance to watch live because. It happened before I was really very conscious of professional wrestling. But the Andy Kaufman, Jerry the King Lawler story is my overall favorite. Now, and I had a chance early in my career to share that with Jerry, and he was very pleased that I brought up something so near and dear to him. I think I told him you're involved in one of my favorite wrestling angles, and Jerry was like, "Yeah, which one was that?" And I said, "The story with you and Andy Kaufman," and he goes, "Yeah, Andy was great." I really think he was terrified that I was going to talk about Isaac Yankem. I think that's what he was afraid of. But no, that's well, that was what really got me into professional wrestling was remarkably enough that folder. But stories that captivated. I loved, as I said, Valentine and Garvin. I loved. The Ted DiBiase. I loved anything Ted DiBiase did. Ted's work was so good. It was really, especially retrospectively, really disappointing that instead of him being the go-to, we finished with Sergeant Slaughter. What do we do with Hulk Hogan now? Or what do we do with whomever's champion now? Let's, Ted's not gotten the belt yet. Let's push him into, doing money things to try and, get that title. Now, as anybody under the age of 12 can I think attest that watched WWE, well, at the time WWF programming. Big fan of Hulk Hogan, and then big fan of Ultimate Warrior, The Rockers. Loved if you had face paint on, I loved you. As a child. I loved the. I love the. Well, I came to know them as the Legion of Doom. I've now, of course, since been aware of them as the Road Warriors. And thank you, Miss Outland. but Demolition, The Powers of Pain, and even more modern era. I loved the Ascension, now the Awakening on the indie circuit. I really thought I really thought the the Awakening, as they're now known, was really going to be the next big tag team, the next thing to really look at and go, oh. And for a brief shining moment, it looked like WWE was going to capitalize on it, and then, for whatever reason, they made the change. They made the directional changes that they made, and now, now, I just came from West Texas Fury Fest with SWE, and shared a locker room and got a chance to shake hands and go, hey guys, I really appreciate your work and really respect what you've done. Really enjoyed watching it. I'm looking forward to what you guys have got going in the future. So no, I'm a cavalcade of appreciations. I think in a lot of ways, if you strapped up a pair of boots, or in the case of the Von Erichs and some of the other braver souls, stepped in the ring barefoot, I really I've got a lot of love and a lot of respect for you. Even if you're a complete rubbish person, you step into the ring and you tell those stories and you do it well. You deserve at least some modicum of my respect, and definitely going to earn my appreciation. I think that was a very long-winded way to answer your question, Remy.
Yeah, man, the Von Erichs. Oh, geez, did you catch that? Did you catch that Dark Side of the Ring on their the Dark Side of the Ring episode based on their family? Oh man,
I
that
have
was
not.
I don't
I that I've had the honor of sharing a locker room and sharing a ring with with Marshall and Ross, and I've shared a locker room with Kevin, and I've shared a locker room with Lacey, and I'm very fond of the Von Erichs as uh, as professionals in our industry, legends, and as just general people. And I've wanted to watch these Dark Side of things, but I've had a very hard time with you know with watching a lot, because a lot of these that are coming up on Dark Side of the Ring, especially for me now, they're either people that dear friends of mine or mentors of mine knew and loved, or people that I have in one form or fashion been acquaintanced to, and it's these stories need to be told. Don't get me wrong. In no way, shape, or form am I saying, oh, the Dark Side of the Ring shouldn't happen. It absolutely needs to be told. People need to understand that the movie The Wrestler wasn't what wasn't just a stirring and powerful drama. The movie The Wrestler was based off of the real tragedies that occur to professional wrestlers, especially folks who strapped the boots on and laced up and went in the 70s and the 80s especially, and how with the the look, the peek behind the curtain, and how society at large took these amazing super heroic figures, or these these horrible villains, and just kind of disregarded most of them for the the things that they do, because Vince. And I understand why Vince did it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking Vince. Vince went, I'm sick and tired of having to, pay exorbitant sports fees and sports taxes and this, that, and the other thing. And so I'm just going to go, oh, it's all entertainment. And then you go, oh, and Vince weathered that breaking of that kayfabe very well. He's a billionaire now. But some of the guys who are not as well positioned as a result of how that spilled out with the people who aren't fans, because fans, some fans I'm sure were like, oh, disillusionment, oh no, and others went, I don't care. It's like Dave Wills. It's still real to me. And shout out to Dave. God bless you, my friend. It's been a long time. You know, you have these amazingly tragic stories, because there was a point where, as the kids say today, we're wilding out here, because professional wrestling was, it's like taking film and television, rock and roll, and sports, and blending all of any of the crazy stories that you hear about any individual. Oh, this happened with the Dallas Cowboys, or oh, this is a thing that Ozzy Osbourne did, or oh my goodness, the wild times that Johnny Depp had, and you just blend them all together, and that's kind of what you had in the 70s and 80s. And it's important that people hear these stories and see these stories and go, oh my goodness, the things that people got up to, and the toll that this business, either through no fault of someone or through the complete fault of their own choices. Don't get me wrong, I'm not vilifying the business, and I don't want to vilify people. People make bad choices all the time, but bad choices don't always lead to bad people. Bad people are I've made bad choices and I don't care. That's where bad people come from. But sometimes you get yourself caught in a pattern of bad choices, and you just don't know how to get out. And people need to see and need to hear those kinds of things, because if you don't understand what every wrestler, manager, referee, ringside personality, announcers, commentators, all the things that either we can go through, have gone through, or end up caught up in. So I want to get back to the actual part of the question. I want to watch the Dark Side of the Ring things, but I'm scared's not the right word, but I don't know that I want to put myself through the emotional turmoil of watching what heroes of mine endured. I saw Beyond the Mat years ago, and I've seen the Iron Sheik special, or the movie, and yeah. No, I'm sure I'll get to eventually. I know Miss Outland wants me to watch some of them, and I know she wants to watch some of them herself. It's just a matter of steeling myself emotionally to do that. Now I only watch Passion of the Christ once every year or two, because that movie is that kind of an emotional beating. And I feel the same way about like other cinematic projects. Like The Wrestler is one of those where I can only watch once a great while. Was it Joaquin Phoenix's The Joker? And I really have to. All right, let's do this for things like that. And the Dark Side of the Ring is on that list, but list of things that I need to watch and want to watch, but. Yeah, I don't know that I'm necessarily ready for it. I've heard wonderful things about it from a documentary standpoint, though. I should warn you guys. I'll keep talking unless someone interrupts me, either with a comment or a question. And seeing all the mute on there, you're just going to end up with this is just an hour of Nigel talking about whatever comes to mind. I stream of conscious really well. Robin Williams and Eddie Izzard are two of my public speaking heroes. So I'll just you just let me go, and I just won't shut up.
Oh, you're good, man. I'm enjoying listening to these stories, man. You're entertaining, man. Do your thing, man. We have like what 8 hours, Remy? You got 8 hours built up.
we had a 3-hour interview one time with none other than Soraya Knight, and that was I always call that our Attitude Era episode, because the stuff that she said, I was like, wow, I was speechless. I was like, hey, I'm just gonna be over here listening. You do your thing. Kathy, this is all you because you brought her on the show. It wasn't a bad thing, but I was like, I didn't know how plain spoken she was. I was like, I could not believe it. I was left shook. So it's all fine and dandy, man. It's all good.
So I'm going to warn you right now. You're going to have to we're going to have a definitive stop somewhere, because if we don't have a definitive stop somewhere, I will keep going. The first podcast I ever did was for a gentleman who became a friend of mine, who has got the Offshoots Network here in the Dallas Metroplex, guy by the name of Trey Mack. And our very first interview was 4 hours. And we stopped because he had stuff to do. And we scheduled to finish the interview the next day. And we went another 4 hours. So,
Wow.
I'm not afraid to talk. I'm a manager and a commentator, as you can probably tell, I'm a storyteller. Absolutely, Ron. Mr. Izzard is brilliant. But I definitely I've been told politely by Miss Houtland that I need to try and stay on topics, so I'm working to do that.
Right. So in regards to coming up, now you're a fan of professional wrestling. How did it go for you going from fan to professional wrestling manager, and or which one came first? Was it commentator or was it manager?
It was commentator. I came in with a company, North Texas Wrestling Alliance, back in 2009. A friend of mine that I was working with at AT&T. He had gotten a job doing play-by-play, and he and I have some very similar wrestling sensibilities when it comes to commentary. We both agree that the greatest commentary team in the history of ever, and I'll fight anyone to the death if they want to argue with me about this, but the greatest commentary team in the history of ever was Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan. Followed very closely by Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse Ventura. He got a spot doing play-by-play, and I joked and said, if you ever need a color commentator, I'm your Bobby Heenan. And they ended up needing a color commentator, and so I went. Had a very horrible audition, did terribly, and I was saved by the fact that I went with the young lady who I was dating at the time, who is now my ex-wife. And they were impressed with her and wanted to hire her, but they didn't know if I was one of those asshats that would say, "Oh, you don't hire me, you can't have her." And so they brought us both in for a live audition, and they figured that if I put forth the same kind of performance that I put forth in my audition, that they'd be able to look at me and go, sorry, man, we can't use you. And the fans' reaction was going to be so bad that I would go, oh, yeah, you're right, I'm terrible. And either she'd get bit by the wrestling bug and want to stay, or get bit by the wrestling bug and tell me to hit the bricks if I had a problem with it. And I shut up and actually did a really, really good job, but blew them away. They're like, where was this guy 2 weeks ago? Who, and they felt that what I brought to the table was good enough, so they kept me around, and they kept me around through a creative change. The creative change didn't. We were doing commentary over house mics. We weren't really geared for commentary for DVD or anything like that. And there's a number of the boys and girls in the locker room who just do not, they don't like over the house mics commentary, and I don't, I've come to understand why. At the time I didn't, because nobody tried to smarten me up to it, but I've been smartened up since. I go, oh yeah, no, it exposes the business. So I try not to do it anymore. And when I say try, I've only done over the house mic commentaries in like five different shows, 2 places, and 3 of the shows were in India for. Actually, no, 3. That's actually 5 shows in India. 5 shows in India for the Great Khali, and then 2 shows in Pakistan for Pro Wrestling Federation Pakistan. But the fans there are not as they're not as derisively or derogatorily smart like wrestling fans in America. Wrestling fans in America, we're looking for all the flaws. We're looking, whereas fans in India and Pakistan, they just want to see the wrestling. So they don't look for the whole, wait a minute. I could hear the commentator say that this guy was lining up for a super kick. Why didn't the guy in the ring who was, staggering around realize and get out of the way? Or, hey, I just heard him say that this fella cheated. Why didn't the ref hear it? And so, the Indian and Pakistani fans, they just want to watch great wrestling. They're very enthusiastic. But I first got in doing commentary, and that's how I got in. I honestly had not watched the product from that point since when was it? I think the last time that I had watched the product before getting into wrestling might have been like John Cena's ascendancy in WWE. I'd buy DVDs or go over to friends' houses to watch pay-per-views, but I never, I didn't watch the product on the daily because the internet wasn't as useful a tool for watching and streaming and all of that then. So my choices were the occasional YouTube something or other, or catching something on telly, like on USA, or was it USA and Spike, and I think I think that was when Impact was trying to do the Monday Night Wars with Raw. That was the last time, because I remember I watched during that time. I also watched Shawn Michaels apologize live. No, wait, no, that was after I got into wrestling. Boy, time flies when you don't get old, kids. When you get old, things just go, time sense is terrible. You can't just keep anything organized anymore. But, the ascendancy of John Cena, I think, was when I watched the product last, and then I just kind of ended up in in the business, and then from that shift, when the creative came in and decided that we're not going to do commentary over house mics. Nigel, you've got a good speaking voice. You get to be an announcer. And so I started announcing. Was having a good time announcing, but I wanted to grow my craft. I wanted to see if maybe I could, be a good. God bless you, Ryan. I love you so much, young man. I wanted to see if I could make it into some place where I could, receive like, real daily, I can live my life doing this kind of thing, compensation. And so I started trying to, feel around for, hey, I'll come in but if you were a company that could get somebody some kind of recognition, to go, hey, this guy is really, really remarkable at what he's doing. They already had an announcer. They don't need, you generally don't need a new announcer unless a company is going through a shift, or someone has, decided they're retiring, or, and I wanted to find something else that I could do, that I could grab hold on in professional wrestling. And, Bobby Heenan is a huge, huge influence in my life. And thank you very much, Ryan. The impact that Miss Outland has had on my life is staggering. As a matter of fact, I probably wouldn't be doing this podcast if it wasn't for the fact that I was supporting Miss Outland when she had gone down to Houston for work for Booker, and Kathy came up to me and started, we'd really like to have you on. I was like, okay, excellent. I'll come and do that. But Brittany's amazing. But because Bobby was such an influence in my life, at least as far as my professional wrestling, enjoyment, I was like, I kind of like to be that kind of Bobby Heenan character. And so I started, trying to feel around to make the transition from announcer to manager. And thank you, Alicia. It's lovely to make your acquaintance here as well. Now, the first place that I got a chance to kind of get a feel for being a manager, and thank you, Ryan, was a company called Wrecking Ball Wrestling. Wrecking Ball Wrestling let me get away with being an announcer and also managing, because I was the color commentator at NTWA. I was a heel announcer, which is very unusual. Usually, people don't gimmick the announcer. And I have a lot of fun being a heel announcer because it's a real challenge. People because people get mad at you if you don't like things that are normal or right. You're a horrible human being. And I've run into challenges where, I try to get fans to cheer, and instead of cheering, I hear somebody yell out, "Not for you." It's like, well, okay, well, if you're not going to cheer for me, how about cheering for the men and women in the locker room who are risking their lives for your very entertainment? You say, people, and I'm like, you selfish, Okay, yes, Ryan. Bobby, God rest him, he is amazing. If I have a true and honest, painful regret in this business, it's the fact that I never had the opportunity or took the chances to go and meet Bobby and shake his hand and thank him.
Would it be safe to say? Would it be safe to say that Bobby the Brain Heenan was actually one of your inspirations as a pro wrestling manager and also a commentator?
Absolutely. There are a lot of there's a lot of wonderful managers to take inspiration from. Don't get me wrong. But Bobby's wit, his attitude, I'm going to be a big man up until, oh God, you're going to hit me. I don't want to be hit. He really, really crafted an idea in my head as to what a wrestling manager is and should be and should have. But there's so many incredible wrestling managers out there. Skandar Akbar, who is not as widely known as he deserves to be. And I was very blessed to have the honor of working with and talking with and gaining advice from him. So I unfortunately I never trained with him, so I can't claim that he trained me. But he did take a liking to me, and he did offer advice, and so a kind of mentorship. The last year of his life, and also here locally, Gary Hart. So many people talk about the genius of Gary Hart. And then, of course, you've got the people that are more recognizable today by modern wrestling fans, because of their exposure to WWE, on top of, Bobby Heenan, Mr. Fuji, and Slick, the Doctor of Style, and, Jimmy Hart. I mean, how can you not think Wrestling Manager and not think Jimmy Hart, and Precious Paul Ellering, and Paulie Dangerously, now better known as Paul Heyman, and Jim Cornette, Harvey Whippleman, and I almost forgot, Percy Pringle III, better known to the world of WWE as Paul Bearer. And then probably I think one of the more significant, yet the business at large hasn't, in my opinion, really acknowledged him the way he deserves to be acknowledged, is Teddy Long, because on top of being a great manager, and on top of being the great general manager in WWE, he's now our general manager at SWE Fury, and he's my boss. Not that I'm kissing up, but I mean, very, very significant in not just in professional wrestling and professional wrestling history, but civil rights history, because of his work with Ron Simmons and Doom. Yeah. Now you've got the manager of the first African American world heavyweight champion and world tag team champions in the NWA. Then Teddy is. Oh yeah, Vicky Guerrero has done some tremendous work, and and I almost forgot Kevin Sullivan. Can't forget Kevin Sullivan, who had a tremendous transition from professional wrestler into manager with the Dungeon of Doom. And if I said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Kevin Sullivan has forgotten more about professional wrestling than I have managed to accumulate and may ever manage to accumulate in my career. And he also works with us at SWE Furies. He on top of assisting with commentary and doing some color with our regular play-by-play guy Bob Molden. He's also involved in creative for the company. Managers are I feel extremely significant in professional wrestling, and have become kind of a lost art, because there was a point in time, especially when I came into the business, where the manager was often just a buddy of somebody, or just somebody who, a sponsor who paid enough money but wanted to be a part of the business, and wanted to be a part of telling the story, and so the role of the manager during the course of a wrestling match has gotten forgotten. It's we're not just there because the guys that are in the ring can't talk. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, no, Mr. Romano is very right. Um, now, the significance of what a manager can bring. Um, Now, especially given the fact, a villain is a villain, but society being what it is, we don't, the villain, you don't want the villain to have the fan side with them, because you have the fan side with the villain, and you end up with the baby face, with the blue eye. You got, oh, we like it. I mean, it's what happened with Stone Cold Steve Austin. We call it a turn. When you turn heel, you turn baby face. And when you do those things, when you turn, it helps, whatever story you're trying to tell, but you don't want the villain to have that much that much sympathy. You don't want them to get that much love from the fans. But if the villain's just there by themselves, then they kind of lose power. The part of the reason why some of our stories, and when I say stories, I'm talking in a broad scale, novels, television, on top of what we do in professional wrestling. Part of the reasons why, let's go with probably one of the greatest sports movies ever written, Rocky. The reason why Rocky is such a significant character, and still, God bless Sylvester Stallone, still being made into film today. The reason why that character is so significant is because Rocky was an underdog. You didn't expect him to become the best. And if I recall correctly, because it's been many years since I've seen the first film, even at the end of the movie, Rocky didn't come away, the big hero, but Rocky survived. Rocky came away, and that's what made the fans love him. That's why a sequel had to happen, because we had to see the underdog win. And when it's just a story about exactly being down 10, whomever you are, probably someone from Boston. You know, when you have someone vying from underneath, now, because we all feel downtrodden. Every single one of us feels downtrodden. Whether or not the rest of us look at them and go, "Oh yeah, no, you've got it bad." It doesn't matter if you got 10 cents or $10 million. At some point you feel like you're on the underside of things and that you're having to fight from underneath. And so we all commiserate with that. And so we see someone fighting from underneath, and we get behind that. And if it's just one guy versus one guy, it's never really fighting from underneath. That's why the managers are significant. That's why stables are significant, or factions are significant to this professional wrestling story, is because if you don't give somebody, give the hero something to fight from underneath on, now, what are you going to get behind? Stone Cold Steve Austin, the story that we got from him when he did that beautiful double turn with Bret Hart. Stone Cold Steve Austin became, even though he was, as a heel, he was this vicious trash talking badass. He ended up fighting from underneath, because he ended up fighting the boss. It was Vince McMahon throwing everything he could at him to, wear him down, to break him down, to try and force him to respect. And the reason why Stone Cold resonated so brilliantly with, especially the American people, is one, we were dealing with we're dealing with a point in time where we all felt like, we all were fighting from underneath when it came to, our employers. Everybody wanted to see their boss get their ass kicked. Everybody, that whole, I make boss makes a quarter, I make a dime, kind of thing. And everybody, felt, like the people at the top were wearing down on the people on the bottom. And it's still significant today. I mean, if you don't get me started about pay disparity between Fortune one, for a company's CEO and the person at the bottom. That's but the stories become more significant when your hero has a real fight ahead of them. Star Wars, one of my favorite cinematic, pop culture things in the history of ever. The very first film, we had a farm boy from a backwater desert planet who stood up to try and take on the evil empire that was ruling the galaxy. That's an underdog story. And that's why those characters became significant, is because they were fighting insurmountable odds. And what those things do to translate, all of that into pro wrestling, keeping things somewhat on topic, is, that when we do that in professional wrestling and we have a hero fighting insurmountable odds, well, the fans, you guys, you connect, because we all feel oppressed. We all feel beset upon. And so you connect with that situation and that significance. And you end up feeling much more powerfully about what has gone on or what you're seeing, because you have that emotional connection. I feel this way. And so, you align with, the people who are fighting the good fight, whether they win or lose. I think I've lost thread of the actual question, Remy. I'm sorry. I won.
It's okay.
I run.
It's okay, man. It's okay. But I gotta ask. Like, I just got a couple of questions before I turn it over to Kathy. I know Kathy got some questions too. So,
Sure.
You're a pro wrestling manager, and you've gotten to share the locker room with the Von Erichs, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of people, a lot of legends in your lifetime. Well, during your tenure, and you're still seeing them today in professional wrestling. If you could choose 5 people to manage outside of SWE, they could be in AEW or WWE, Impact, Ring of Honor, or even another indie, or anywhere in the world. If you could choose another wrestler, male or female, to manage 5 wrestlers, who would be your top 5?
I'm really glad you said outside of SWE, because if you had said, including SWE, I mean, I've blissfully, I've already had the opportunity to manage, a number of them, because the beginning of the SWE tenure, I managed Charlie Haas, who is now the world's champion at SWE, and I managed Rodney Mack, who is the world's television champion. And I managed during a match with Max Castellanos, who was Max was paired with us in a 6-man tag. So I've kind of like peripherally managed Max, and I mean, love them, very significant. And I've had the opportunity to manage the War Kings, which the War Kings is uh, an amazing entity. Although I don't know that Jackson and I get on very well. Um, but uh, a fella on the Indies who I met through my work at Continental Wrestling Entertainment, uh, uh, facing the great Khali, Brody Steele. I would love to work with Brody. The man he's an impressive physical specimen and has a great mind for the business, and a very hard hitting old school attitude. Um, and love him and uh, Cowboy Mike Hughes. Both of them are up in Canada. I'd love to have an opportunity to work with them. Um, it's funny that you open things broadly. Because some of the guys that I would love to manage, like for example, on places like AEW, I've already managed. It just so happened that when they received their call up, that call was for them. And that call's not. Well, it wasn't my call to receive. Which disappointing for me, exciting for them. Well, I there's a lot of incredible talent out there, and I'm often just grateful to be a part of that and to work with those people, because anytime that you work with someone who is who is it in one form or fashion viewed as being worthy to work with you, there is always the risk that you are going to lose some of that spotlight to that person. And as a manager, it is one of my jobs not to take the spotlight away, but because of the nature of how things have gone with managers in professional wrestling, some people don't realize that. Some people have forgotten that. One of the guys here locally in Texas, that if you want to see someone who definitively understands not to pull the attention away from their client, is a fellow by the name of the OP, Lance Romance. I watch when I go to shows, or I'm in the locker room and I have an opportunity to watch and work with the OP. I sit down and I watch him, because Lance is a significant manager here in Texas, and he's got some beautiful contacts, and he's worked with some incredible people. Like for example, Sammy Guevara. Lance was one of the people that was really very instrumental in helping people recognize how good Sammy really is. And Lance had a lot of faith in him, and it's as you can watch on not WW, as you watch on AEW, it's very justified. Sammy's Sammy is incredible, but you watch Lance when he's working, and Lance does the things that he needs to do to show the support that he's got for his talent, but he doesn't make a spectacle of himself. He doesn't pull away. He doesn't draw attention away from the business going on in the ring and the things going on in the ring, unless he needs to, unless that's the time for him, and you know, it's something that I think a lot of younger managers in the business have issue with. And I know that I from time to time have to be, pulled back in the whole, hey, maybe stop having an argument with a 12-year-old ringside, Nigel, while I'm trying to twist this fella's head off in the middle of the ring, if you'd be so kind. Well, you know, I don't know that I can defend outside of like a few of the guys on the indies that I just love. Like, I just recently started working with Barrett Brown here locally with the Christian Wrestling Federation and managing Barrett, which is something that Barrett and I have known each other since his very first match in professional wrestling. And it's something that he and I have been talking about on and off for years. We finally get a chance to do it. I'm one of those people. I try not to pie in the sky and look at something and go, "Ooh, I'd really like to work with," if I'm in the locker room with someone and we're casually talking, and I was like, "Man, I'd really like to work with you," but I'm not the kind of guy that just goes, "Oh, this would be so wonderful if I worked with so and so." One, because I try to keep myself grounded in reality. Now, would I love to manage guys like Pete Dunne or Davey Boy Smith Jr.? Yes, absolutely. But I'm not in a position where I can look at that and feel realistically like that's something I can do. I don't have a contract. And now, as good as I am, and I am incredible. Don't get me wrong. I know how good I am. But as good as I am, I'm not going to say I'm at someone else's level, especially as a wrestler, because now I know the difference between what goes into the work that they put in and what goes into the work that I put in. And so I try not to do too much of dream matchmaking.
Right. So I just have one more match, one more question before I turn it over to Kathy. And that question is in regards to pro wrestling, in regards to being, a pro wrestling manager. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I see myself with a contract. I don't know whose contract it is. Hopefully, the contract will be, the SWE Fury, because SWE Fury is really putting the professional wrestling world on its ear. Well, but it's really hard to speculate. Well, especially 5 years. I mean, people say time passes very quickly when you're having fun, and that's very true. But the other side of it is so much can happen. I mean, in the case of SWE Fury, they had been a company, several years past, but the owner Tom Lance had taken some steps back and had done, had stepped away from professional wrestling until he ended up with an opportunity to do a charity show called Hunt for the Gold. And I happened to have been involved in that charity show, and things went so well that, they decided, let's go ahead and see what happens when we do a big show, do a TV taping. So they did the big show, and they did a TV taping, and they did, all right, we're going to do little house shows from time to time until we end up knowing, because it's expensive to put on a professional wrestling show. Anybody who tells you otherwise isn't really trying to put on a professional wrestling show. And so they were going to do house shows to kind of, keep interest going, keep the talent interested, and kind of flesh out some ideas creatively, and kind of like what house shows used to be, before the time of the internet, and people recording things and talking about everything, and you find out that someone sneezed at a show in Backwaters, Louisiana, and you're sitting in Seattle going, huh, Bob sneezed. No reason for anybody to pay that much attention, but people pay that much attention. So, we started off like that. We did, and we managed to get one house show. And then I went to Pakistan for Pro Wrestling Federation's Pakistan's World Wrestling Champions. And I'm sitting in the resort, because we're in a lovely resort called Dream World Resorts in Karachi, Pakistan. And I'm sitting in the cafe with my friends Phil Bain and Kane and Abel. They're three Grecian wrestlers, lovely human beings, some of my favorite people. And we're having coffee, and I'm having coffee, and we're sitting around. We're talking about what's going on with them professional wrestling, what's going on with me professional wrestling, and we're building a friendship. And I get an email from one of the owners, and the email says, we need you to be available for a television taping the 1st of January. We've picked up a TV deal, and we're going to be on television. We need to start recording 4 episodes in the can. Okay. I know we had done a TV taping, but now this is more than just hey, we're doing a TV taping. This is, no, we're going to be on TV. We need to put more tape in the can. And then we started doing that, and 3 months later, hey, the whole world's got to shut down because there's this fancy little thing called COVID-19. And my legitimate first fear upon hearing that COVID-19 was shutting down, especially things in Texas, was this is going to kill so many companies. So many wrestling companies are going to die because people are going to lose. They're going to lose attendance. Places are going to lose venues. All these things are going to go sideways for them. And a lot of the companies that I was afraid for managed to keep their doors open, thankfully. SWE, not only did they not close, but they flourished. And in the brief moments in Texas where lockdown restrictions were relaxed or lifted, we had a show going and we got tapings done, and we started bringing in guys like Teddy Long and Animal, God rest Animal, and then the Boogeyman started showing up, the creepy bastard that he is, and now Mark Henry, and and it just kept growing and kept going, and then we end up in 2021, and we start doing festival type shows where hey, we're going to have a big meet and greet fan fest before the show, and then we're going to make a day of it, and we're going to put one in Carthage, Texas. Then we're going to do another one in Irving, Texas, and then we're going to do a third one in Lubbock, Texas, and that's where I was last night. Was the one in Lubbock, Texas, which was a rousing success, I feel. So I see myself in 5 years with a contract, and God willing, the contract. Thank you very much, Ryan. Appreciate that. I love hearing that people enjoy the product. God willing, my contract will be with SWE Fury, and the professional wrestling world will be kind of looking at us like, where did you come from? We blinked and you and now we have to vie against you. Now, but anything beyond that, I want to be able to make a living doing professional wrestling so that I can focus on the things in this business that I enjoy, and the stuff that I like to do to try and give back either to the business or to the fans. Because, as anybody on the independent scene will tell you, trying to do this and working a 9 to 5 is not, it's not easy, and it's very time consuming.
That's why, that's why you see when it comes to like promotions and so on, like I wish everybody can do well, man. I mean, I know that in another world, everybody would be able to do this for a living, and that's why, I don't think I'll ever be involved with a business. At least not as a pro wrestler. I mean, Rob here is trying to be a referee. I wish him all the best, but he's better than me in terms of that. I don't think I could do. I'm a bit too old for that, but I always try my best to support. And I always wish all these promotions get, I always wish them well and so on. It gets me when fans say, "Oh, this promotion should go out of business," or they're gonna go out in like, they're gonna be done in like 2 years, and I'm like, first off, you're wishing you no longer have an alternative to look at. So you're content just watching one particular brand.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to see anybody else, showcase their talent. Not everybody can go to like, this, but I'm not going to call names because now people are going to think I'm bashing this one particular. Not everybody can go to Connecticut. Connecticut can't hire everybody. Everybody can't go to Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
So you rather, like some place like Impact go out of business, people lose their living, and they're not able to pay their rent, they're not able to pay their mortgage, their
Right.
car note, they're not able to put food on their family's table. And I've told them, I'm like, hey, that's like, when you say things like Impact should go out of business or Ring of Honor should go out of business, you're pretty much telling these people you wish they lose their jobs. If you told me that, I'd be like, no, forget you. Go somewhere with your negativity,
Right. No,
and I wish that's why I watch a lot of wrestling too. I watch reality wrestling. I don't know if y'all got beef with them. I hope not, because I'd really like to see, hopefully one day, wishful thinking, an ROW SWE cross joint show. I would love to see that. But like I said, I don't know if the two sides are cool with each other. That's just me, because I know
I'm not aware of any complications or problems between the two. As a matter of fact, I think that Booker T and Teddy are actually quite close. So I wouldn't put anything. I mean, Teddy is a networking wizard. He knows how to communicate with people at a level in professional wrestling. I mean, we're all people. Don't get me wrong. And Teddy, Teddy's a guy that he puts his trousers on one pant leg at a time. But when you get to a certain level in the business, because people know. You go, oh, I've seen that fellow on TV. I grew up watching that fellow, or I love this guy's work. The ability to communicate, even though we're in the same business, the ability to communicate with those people and not not come across as either disingenuous or hey, I'm really bringing something of value to the table. Teddy is amazing at that. That's part of the reason why SWE Fury has had, some of the incredible talent walk through the doors that we've had, is because of Teddy's ability to communicate and network. So I wouldn't discount anything. You're talking about Booker T, which, one of the things that got me back into professional wrestling was watching WCW and watching, catching the NWO. And what caught my attention with the NWO is, I grew up, I love Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, loved Razor Ramon, and I was flipping channels one day and caught Razor Ramon in a wrestling ring. Like, wait a minute, scroll back. That looked like Razor Ramon, and sure enough, that was him. And there's Randy Savage, and oh, that big fellow with the hair must be that Diesel fella that I heard about. And and that got me interested. But what really got me locked into pro wrestling was that best of 7 series that Booker T did with Chris Benoit. And now I know the man's got his Hall of Fame ring, and I know he's a five-time champion, but I don't think that Booker T has ever really gotten the accolades that he deserves, because he's an amazing professional wrestler. And I don't think enough people have recognized that or do recognize that. So having an opportunity to work with him, and reality of wrestling is one of the top products in the state. I would put reality of wrestling and SWE into similar columns. And say this is the column A. And there's some other folks that are really great in there, and I really do hope that that, because one of the things that we are trying to do is something that hasn't been done for, is things like the Open Challenge, and we're trying to bring more people from outside of SWE in that whole old school, oh, you never know who's going to show up kind of attitude. But I would love that, and I hope that we get there. But to the folks that, and you're right, to the folks that are saying, well, I wish such and such would go out of business. Now, I think that what people end up doing is they mistake their distaste for a person in a business for a problem with the product. And you cannot like somebody's point of view in professional wrestling all day long. You can dislike the things that Vince McMahon has done in professional wrestling, and want WWE to be to go the way of WCW. But we all saw what happened when WCW finally fell, and ECW was done, and the only product that was left outside of independent products, the only product on the national level that was left was WWE. And WWE had a nice little creative burst there for about a year and a half, 2 years. Now, and then the product started to get stagnant, and the product got difficult to watch. And don't get me wrong, we've gotten great talent during those eras. I mean, anybody can say what they want about John Cena. John Cena knows what he's doing when he steps in the ring. I've been an advocate for John and his work since I first saw him in WWE. I'm going to continue to be an advocate for the man's work. Man does great work. Man's a tremendous professional wrestler. Anybody who doesn't like him is just jealous because they're not getting that contract. Lord knows I'm jealous. I'm just proud of the fella. We've seen what happens when product goes away and when the business streamlines down to one company. And there was a point in time, somebody asked me in an interview, do I think it's harder to get into professional wrestling? Do I think it's harder to get into a national sports team, like an NFL team or an MLB team or an NBA team? And I was like, well, let's break it down. You have a finite number of players on a team, but you've got, X amount of teams. And so you've got that number of players times that number of teams. And in at the time of WWE was really the thing going. In WWE, you got maybe 30, 40 guys and gals that are really, being utilized and making money. You get that many people on one of your teams. Well, now, so one team, one sports team is going to be what you want for professional, just one team. Now, I'm excited because today we've got WWE and all of the things that come with. So you get Raw, SmackDown, NXT. So you got WWE, and now we've got AEW, and you got all of the creative chaos. Excellent. Don't get me wrong. Excellent. I'm not knocking. It's just it's one of those things. If you blink, something's going to change, and it's either going to be something you sit there and go, "Oh my God, that's amazing." You sit there and you go, "How did we get? What happened?" And then you've got Impact, you've got Ring of Honor, you've got the NWA, you've got SWE, and I can continue. I mean, because there's at least another 3 or 4 other companies, But in terms of reach to the fans, those 6 are the ones that are really doing something really incredible on a national level. I want to see more of it because it's just like it's just like WCW and WWE when they were doing the Monday Night Wars. To beat each other on a weekly basis, people were getting creative. Sometimes they're getting ruthless, but people are getting creative. Two of the biggest stars that WWE has ever seen, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Mankind Mick Foley, they got bounced out of WCW. Somebody said that they weren't worth keeping on. They weren't worth investing in creatively. And WWE took a look at them and went, no. Let's do something a little different with you, though. Let's do this. And now we've got, which I mean, the last person I expected to do a podcast, the absolute last person, was the fella at the Broken Skull Ranch. I expected a brewery before I expected a podcast. Which kind of thing, I think he might have a brewery and a podcast. Anyway, and you've got Mankind, who is now a best-selling author, and he does regular speaking tours on top of being this extremely significant person in professional wrestling. And both men are, I feel bad for them because I don't think either one of them can go any places without being caught up in, oh my God, you're so and so. So now the wanting business to go away for someone. You cannot like an owner. You cannot like a figurehead. But to want the whole business to go away and take opportunities away from people, unless that business as a whole is involved in something diabolical, nobody should want a wrestling company to go away. Maybe want them to, exhibit a better love or respect for their talent, or a more considerate health and wellness program. But to want opportunities go away for people, that's selfish. I want everybody to do well. Yeah, I used to get in trouble when in my first years in the business because I would try to get companies to work together, and in Texas, at the time that I broke in, there were some very work together. That's my competition. I mean, there's more than enough wrestling fans in Texas, and everybody likes different things. Some people love the spot show aesthetic. Some people love a contiguous storyline and want to see something. Da, 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 da. Some people want spectacle. Some people want solid technical wrestling. Some people want that old school, walking and talking. Some people want a spot fest. Professional wrestling has the gift and the blessing of being able to be as varied as the opinions of the fans are. We just have to realize that it no longer needs to be a fight for as they like to say, butts in seats, and it just needs to be a quest to tell the best stories that we want to tell, and go from there. I'm sorry if I went weird on that, Remy.
Yeah, it's all good. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Kathy. I know Kathy has a bunch of questions for you. Um, she was at a wrestling show last night, so she's all hyped and whatnot. So, Kathy, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to you. The floor is open. Go ahead.
All right, thanks, Remy. Hey, Nigel, thank you for coming on the show. Greatly appreciate it. How you doing tonight?
Recovering from being tired, but otherwise doing well.
Yeah, you were talking about you were at an SWE Fury show yesterday. It was West Texas Fury Fest. So
yes.
Without giving too much away, but for fans that didn't get to see it, how was it last night? Like what happened as far as you could tell us?
I think because it was recorded for telly, so I don't want to give anything away. Oh, thank you very much, Ryan. Thank you. You have a great night. Take care.
Bye, Ryan.
I'm one of those people that when I go to the cinema and watch a movie, like people, oh, tell me about this. No, if you want if you want to know about the story and want to know what happens, you got to go see it yourself. I'll be happy to talk about it with you afterwards. But I'll be sitting and I'll sit and watch a movie with my mom and dad, and mom will start asking questions, and my response is, watch the movie. Mm-hmm. I'm not telling you anything till you watch the movie. You can ask all the questions you want when the movie's done, but watch the movie. So I'm not a spoilers guy. I don't like giving away things. But I felt that West Texas Fury Fest was a very successful night. But as things happen in anything with a live wrestling production, or any kind of live production, there were obstacles, and I think West Texas Fury Fest really showcased that SWE can not only endure obstacles, but overcome obstacles and still put together one of the best products in professional wrestling on the market today. And when those episodes drop and you see them on Fight TV, or if you're in the DFW area on the CW33 at 10 p.m. Central, I think you're really going to be able to look at us and go, this company is really a contender, because this company not only not only went forth and put together a great product, but the only reason why you know that there's obstacles is because Nigel mentioned it in the podcast. And I think that is the thing that speaks the best for SWE is that we came, we saw, we conquered, and we did that while having to do things to shift around and make adjustments on the fly. And that kind of creative flexibility is very important for a product, any wrestling product. But SW, we're not in a position to try what people like WWE do, exclusive contracts, because WWE doesn't want their talent to go work somewhere else, get hurt, and ruin the storyline. And we work to be much more flexible, and the company works to do that in that fashion, be flexible in that fashion. And when the company runs into an obstacle because someone got hurt or there was a transportation complication, and you gotta know how to pivot, you gotta know how to move around, you gotta know how to sidestep. And as a company, I think we did that exceptionally well, because the obstacles that we ran into, I don't think the fans really even noticed. So, the show was great. I've got a headache. You'll find out why if you watch SWE Fury on Fight TV or on our YouTube channel. And the YouTube channel is Southwest Wrestling Entertainment. And of course, on any of the local telebroadcasts that we do. And I think we've got. I can't remember the name. I think we've still got a national cable provider, but I can't remember the name of it.
Is it the CW?
Terrible
CW
representative.
network?
No, not the CW. The CW is more local affiliate. We had Right Now TV, but Right Now TV started getting started trying to tell us to look like WWE. And anybody who tries to be WWE is going to end up failing, because only the World Wrestling Entertainment can be World Wrestling Entertainment. Now, we can have great talent, we can have amazing stories, we can have a stunning production. But if you want any company to be WWE, you are setting yourself up for failure. And SWE is very aware that we don't need to be anything other than SWE. We don't need to be WWE. We don't need to be AEW. We need to be SWE, because we found a portion of the wrestling fan base that is felt neglected by the big drama, big storyline wrestling companies. And so it's gotten very, very exciting what we're doing. But the show was really great. I really had a good time. The the drive home with with our sound engineer DJ Tony Snow was a lot of fun, because Tony and I haven't had a chance to sit down and just just chat and talk music and pop culture and professional wrestling, and really great experience.
Awesome. Now there's a show coming up. I saw it on August 28th. And there's been so many people that have passed through, and you mentioned some of them. Like there was Road Warrior Animal. Rest in peace. And Teddy Long's the commissioner there, and our
General manager. Yeah.
And Charlie Haas is there. Pretty much everybody. If you've ever went, like, I wonder where so and so went. They're in SWE right now. There's like Eva Lise has passed through there, and like the former Enzo and Cass, they've been in there. But actually, on the 28th, Scott Steiner is going to be there, from what I read. So that's pretty awesome.
Scott Steiner is going to be there. Very excited about. Selena De Laurenta is returning to SWE Fury, and the thing is that I'm pretty positive that's not all of the announcements that we've got. We've got now a little bit over a month's worth of announcements still to go. Well, and that doesn't even take into consideration how I'm going to handle people like Andrew Anderson and his errant fists flying when they shouldn't be, and what I'm going to do to deal with other disrespects that I've been forced to endure at SWE Fury. But we have this blessing of being in a position to where we tell classic, almost WCCW Texas style in the ring stories. Well, are there interview segments and things like that? Yeah. But most of the story that you get for what we put together, you get because you're sitting and you're watching the guys and the gals in the ring, and you watch us, come in and we get on the microphone and we, maybe say our piece, and then we tell all of the story that you need in the ring. And on top of that, we're also putting together this spectacle, and I mean spectacle in the best possible sense.
Uh-oh.
We done lost them. Uh-oh.
Well.
Hopefully he'll come back in a second.
Yeah.
My phone does that, man. Like if we're talking on here, it gets hot or something, and then cuts out for a minute. And I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, I use a computer now. I'm on my computer, so.
That's what I need to do. I need to hook that computer up, man. I need to do that. But then I'm like, I have this phone stand here, and it's gonna go to waste. Might as well just use that.
My phone did not work, so I ended up buying a webcam and using my computer. So that's what I'm on now. So insider thing for those of you guys, watching.
There you go.
There it is.
I don't know what happened. 1 minute I was talking, and the next minute my phone went. Nobody cares what you have to say. Rude phone. But I think that, especially the shows that we've been doing this summer, we've been really working very hard at putting together things that will make you sit there and go, what's going to happen next? So I'm very excited about this. I do hope that that Mr. Steiner doesn't feel inclined to lay his hands on me, because I'm such a friendly fellow. But it's really a blessing and an honor to be able to be a part of a company that brings in legends like this. The show we're going to be at the Las Colinas Convention Center in Irving, Texas, and that's where we had done the North Texas Fury Fest in June, and the headline appearance was one Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash is part of the reason why I really got back into professional wrestling. So Now, there was a point in time during the show where I realized Kevin Nash walked out on through the entrance, got in the ring, cut a promo, and then exited the ring area. And I did the exact same thing in the exact same place on the exact same broadcast. And it's one of the things that makes me very grateful for my experience with SWE Fury, because it's one thing to have walked in the footsteps of giants and walked with legends. It is another thing entirely to actually walk with those legends and to walk with those giants of our business and of our industry. And I anticipate that the show on August 28th is going to be that same level of, because it seems like this summer we've had no idea what the term stop means. It's almost as if we've looked at each shows going, this show was really great, this show was amazing, how do we top it? And end of the day, that's the best thing for the fans, and the fans are like, now we're bringing in one of the more intriguing. Really, I really find Scott Steiner to be a very intriguing professional wrestler, because he went from a very talented and celebrated tag team specialist with his brother Rick, and the Steiner brothers, very electrifying in their tenure in WCW, and even their run in WWE. They were very excellent, and then they shifted gears and went singles competition, and Scott went from being a kind of powerful high flyer to being a powerhouse of frightening capability. I don't know how else to describe it without saying a very fascinating orator. He has cut some of the most intense and entertaining wrestling promos I've ever seen. So it's going to be really exciting to have him a part of the show.
Yeah, the infamous math one from Impact. Everybody loves that one from Scott.
People talk about the math one, but I'm literally thinking about when he was doing his singles run post NWO, where he was kind of heel and then face and then hard turn right back into heel. This is back when he was calling himself the Big Bad Booty Daddy, and there's a big Papa Pump, holler if you hear me, and all my freaks, and he was captivating. So to have him, to have him at SWE Fury in August at the Las Colinas Convention Center in Irving, Texas is really, really exciting. I don't know if he's just going to be doing a signing. I don't know if he's going to get in the ring and cut a promo. I don't know if he wants to dust off the boots. But I think anything that Mr. Steiner does is going to be attention grabbing and very exciting.
Definitely. And speaking of attention grabbing and exciting, because I've seen, either on your page or like SWE's page on social media, like just yesterday, their meet and greet. I mean, there was like this many people, like a bunch of people, like just for that is intriguing. And, to go to the show and watch the matches is just as intriguing too. So SWE definitely caught my eye, and I know it's going to catch the eyes of a lot of people.
Thank
Because,
you.
like I said, it's when you see, like, I wonder where so and so is, and you go on SW's page, oh, that's where they are. Like, it brings all these legends, like, it just brings back nostalgia, and you want to watch them again because you haven't seen them for so long, and that's the place to see them. SWE.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. But the other thing that I also enjoy though is that we are also uh, we're also on top of growing our own talent, like myself. Uh, and we're also giving people the opportunity to see talent in different lights. I don't think I don't think anybody, with maybe the exception of myself, knew that Charlie Haas has the capability of being the guy. It was obvious that WWE didn't have that faith in him, because WWE released him before he got close to his zenith, and now Charlie has become one of the most intriguing persons in professional wrestling, and his intensity is unmatched. Now, I don't manage him any longer for SWE Fury, but I managed him for a number of years uh, here in Texas for Texoma Pro Wrestling up in Sherman. And Charlie and I are very close, or at least we're very close. Uh, and there is a wealth of knowledge and experience and passion that the wrestling industry as a whole has ignored in Charlie Haas, and SWE Fury is SW Fury is tapped into that and is reaping the benefit of it, and the fans as a result are reaping the benefit of being able to watch somebody like Charlie and go, I never realized that he had this in him. We just thought he was great, the world's greatest tag team, and that kind of Kurt Angle American hero villains type thing. And now Charlie is much more intense, and it was my pleasure to work with him for as long as I've had the opportunity to. And while I'm not thrilled with the direction our relationship went, post his championship win in SWE Fury, but I'm very pleased for him, very proud of him, and I wish him nothing but the best. I won't tell you how many painkillers I'm on right now, Gail, but you and Corey and Everly, please drive home safely, because I was driving home last night. It's no fun watching the sun come up, unless that's your plan. That wasn't my plan. Anyway.
So, yeah, as Charlie Haas is a definite definition of those people that are like, that I just said earlier, like, where did he go? And there he is, because he was great, with the world's greatest tag team with Shelton Benjamin and Kurt Angle. And of course, people know Shelton Benjamin's in WWE still, and Kurt Angle is retired. But I know probably a lot of people are like, where did Charlie Haas go? There he's in SW Fury. So, that answers a lot of people's questions.
Yeah.
And, he's definitely one to watch. He was great in WWE. He's great in SWE now, too. So if you ever wondered where he was, he's in SWE.
And I don't mean to interrupt, but this is why I tell people, support indie wrestling. I'm telling you, people, you're not going to stop till Rob over here, eats all your meals. I'll make him do it. He'll do it. But this is why I tell people, support indie wrestling. Just because somebody is not on TV does not mean they're not working the indies. That's all I have to say. Kathy, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you in the middle of your questioning.
It's all right.
To kind of dovetail onto the end of what Remy just said, the independent professional wrestling is, in my estimation, some of the more exciting things in professional wrestling, and that's one of the things that I think makes SWE Fury so exciting, is that SWE Fury, it comes from some of those same independent wrestling sensibilities. The intention is, because most independent wrestling companies don't have a TV product that can augment the story with vignettes, and so everyone has to tell the story in the ring, and that's if you're a wrestling fan and you've not seen independent professional wrestling, find a local company. There's if you say there's not one near you, you're probably not looking in the right places. I'm not going to say you're not looking hard enough, just not looking in the right places. And if you want to see what that looks like on a larger scale, on with a augmented talent base, yes, definitely check out SWE Fury. We're on Fight TV. If we're not on in your local broadcasting area, if you want us in your local broadcasting area, contact your local CW, or I think we've got relationships with CW and ABC, and I think NBC in the Lubbock area. So definitely take a look at that. But back to your questions, Kathy.
Yeah, definitely got me interested. I definitely want to start watching SWE because I've been looking at it on social media for a while, and with you being there and then different people, all these legends, I'm like, it's got my attention, so I definitely want to watch it. I'll definitely be tuning in from now on.
Thank you.
But yeah, of course. So, as you mentioned, you're a manager, and I guess your stable name is the Rabid Empire. So
yes.
how did that start, and who's in the stable now?
How that started, I mean, a manager. When you're a manager, you either manage one wrestler or two wrestlers, if it's if you're tag team, or if you're someone like myself and aspire more towards being folks like Bobby Heenan, you have yourself a stable. And part of it came from a desire to work with people that I liked. The very first member of the Rabid Empire, which I refer to as my Imperialists, my very first Imperialist was a fellow by the name of the British Assassin. And the British Assassin and I got on like a house on fire. And from there, we worked with a young fellow by the name of Jason Silver, who is a very talented young man working out of Metroplex Wrestling here in the DFW area right now. And then a fellow who is a lot of fun, good fellow by the name of ring name of Street Milk. And Street has since retired from professional wrestling, as has the British Assassin. But because of their support and their enthusiasm, I just kind of continued carrying on. As far as who's in the Rabid Empire, at the time of where things are in broadcast, the War Kings, Jack Stane and Crimson, but there's going to be some shifts in that by the time telebroadcasts come out. The comment that Gail made, inquiring about how my head was, has something to do with that. But for those, as I said, I don't like giving spoilers away. If you want to know why or what I'm talking about, you're just going to have to watch SWE Fury. If you're in the Dallas Metroplex, channel 33 on Saturday nights, 10 p.m., or catch us on the YouTube channel Southwest Wrestling Entertainment, or catch us on Fight TV.
Awesome.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, shameless plug. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is, managers usually have like a fashion style, and you have quite the style. Like you have, you have a jacket, you have a scarf, and you have a tie. So how did you come up with the manager look?
Well, I mean, when I first got into professional wrestling, initially all I was really wearing was like, a black button-down kind of flashy shirt. As a matter of fact, my stepdaughter, Victoria, picked out two of my very first professional wrestling shirts. Nice little black-on-black pinstripe number with rhinestone, silver and black rhinestone dragon down one side. That was one. And then the other was very similar material, similar style, but a silver stitching and silver rhinestone over the left breast, a crest with a lion, very British looking. I enjoyed it very much. And then a larger piece like that on the back. And I will still break that out and wear that, from time to time as a nod and an homage to my stepdaughter, because I love the young lady very much. I'm very, very proud of her and the things that she does as she has become a young adult. But first, at first the aesthetic came from a ring announcer, and as a ring announcer, jacket and tie is generally if you don't have a jacket and tie, you just kind of look like some schleb who's I'm just they just pulled me out of the seats and I just came up and did it. I can talk into a microphone. And I'm very I'm very much into trying to put forth that the correct image. If you don't look the part, then you have a much harder time making people believe that that's what you are and that's who you are. Because if I don't look like a smarmy British villain, thank you, Brittany, my love. If you don't look like this smarmy kind of, I'd sooner, I'd sooner walk into a fire than have to touch something as unclean as, if I don't give off that kind of energy with how I look, then I'm not setting the right tone. I want someone to look at me and go, "Oh, he looks like he's, he looks like he's a terrible person." At the same time, I want people to go, "That guy looks, there's something about him. He looks cool." Remy, I apologize. I missed that last comment. If you wouldn't mind popping that up for me again. I don't like. I hate not addressing people's kind words. Um, but the shirt and tie came from my aesthetic on this is what an announcer looks like, and the Union Jack variant neckties come from I got sick and tired of people asking me where I was from. So let's make it obvious. I'm gonna put on a Union Jack tie, and even the most backwater, West Texas redneck, yes, that was a wrestling reference, would be able to take a look at it and go, "Hi, that's that Fern country." Yes, yes, Gail, absolutely. Dress for the job you want. I tried that. They told me to stop wearing Batman outfits at the office, so I just started wearing ties. But the scarf, came from me being a prick. The scarf came from I and the scarf draped over the shoulder. Now, like a clerical stole, or you go to graduations and you've got they do the honors reverse where it's around the neck, but now to me the scarf draped over the shoulder really gave off an ambiance of I am so much better than you. And initially, I started wearing scarves as an announcer because I was the unheard of heel announcer, and so I started wearing Manchester U scarves, which is funny because I don't follow sports really at all. I mean, the closest thing to following sports I do is professional wrestling, and even that's haphazard at best. But I wore the Manchester U scarf because I'm in Dallas, Texas, the home of America's team, and the company for Manchester United, once they have got 1807 on the Manchester United scarf, or maybe it's 1907, and I just think things are older than what they are. I haven't seen, literally because of SWE, I haven't seen that scarf in over a year. Cause I used to keep it with me, but to take it to shows, and I don't. Uh, I'll explain why SWE is the reason why I don't see that scarf anymore. But 1907, it's got to be 1907. 1807 makes sense. Anyway, I'd stand in the ring and somebody would yell something about Cowboys or something, and I'd hold up the Manchester United logo and go, "This is what real football looks like." Yeah, because I mean, let's be honest, North American football is oblong egg-shaped hand egg ball. You play it with, you kick it what, like, if you make a touchdown and to start each half, that does not a football make. Whereas what you Americans call soccer, you play it with your feet and only the goalie can pick it up and throw it, which the rest of the world calls football. Lunatics, all of you. So, and just by the fact I would drape it over my shoulders, I realized a lot of people looked at me. It was like, "Oh, he's such a prick," just because I'm wearing the scarf. And I was like, you know what? I like the aesthetic. I like the look, And my father is a cleric in the Episcopal Church, and so I was used to seeing him wear a stole draped over his shoulder when he was conducting a service. So now it's also a little bit of a nod to my dad. Not that he likes the fact being cleric that his son is a villain in professional wrestling and cheats people out of victories, which is an accusation that I feel is unfair. I don't cheat. I facilitate victory. But you know, as of recently, I've started shifting up the wardrobe a little bit. It used to be always black, and now I've got a lovely red jacket. And my goal is once we've hit uh, some more stability in the ranks of the Rabid Empire, because well, with SWE, when creative changes in companies, there is always some fluctuations because people have a different vision of what needs to go forward. And so, we've got three very talented, very creative gentlemen in Teddy Long, Kevin Sullivan, and James Beard. And once things settle, I kind of want to a little bit of a nod to Jimmy Hart and the fact that Jimmy would always have a different jacket for a talent that he'd come to the ring. And while I don't think I could afford to do that because I don't make Jimmy Hart money, I do want to be able to showcase talent and show that I'm not just about me, because it's not about me. And yes, my jackets all talk about the Rabid Empire and Nigel Rabid, and but that's largely because on the indie scene, it's very hard to, especially today with managers, it's very hard to get some stability with talent so that you can, uh, get yourself ring gear focused in one direction. Because things change and people change, and that's that's a goal that I've got is to get to that point where I once fancied the idea when I was with the Perfect Enemy of having a jacket with spikes all down the sleeves on both sides, so that I looked very, because they came to the ring and their jackets with spikes all over it and chains, and very vicious looking lads, and I wanted to kind of align with how they were looking, and get a perfect enemy logo put on the back of the jacket. And, then things changed, and unfortunately, investing in things of that nature are very expensive, because it's embroidery. I did not realize embroidery was as expensive as it was until I started getting things embroidered.
Yep. Yep. But yeah, you're very stylish, I must say. You rock a tie and a jacket and a scarf very well, and I do like the different Union Jack ties. That's a very nice touch.
Thank you. I had more, and one I had to take out of my bag for my wardrobe, because it was I like the black and white aesthetic, and I found a black and white aesthetic with that blue stripe that they did for Back to Blue, and then last year happened, and I went, if I wear that, that's political heat, and I don't want politics heat. I care what goes on in this country, but at the same time, I'm not about being a platform for if you want me to get on a platform about beliefs, let's talk about the state of Star Wars. Let's talk about why we can't have anything better than just 3 good Terminator movies. That's why 1, 2, and I think it was 4.
I didn't think Dark Fate was that bad. I thought it was all right. The last one.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't bad, but it was one of those. I kind of felt it was very much like you watch the Highlander movie, and then you watch Highlander 2, and then you watch Highlander 3, and Highlander 3 is kind of like, 2 didn't happen. We're not paying. You know,
Yeah.
and that's, you know, and I thought they were very creative in how they went about doing it. But what's upset me about Dark Fate is Dark Fate went, all right, we're doing this, we're going this new direction. It's going to be very exciting, and the box office wasn't what we expected it to, so we're not doing anything anymore. And it's like,
Yeah. I know.
yeah, it's, I'm a huge movie nerd. But I do, I do want to and need to start looking into, additional Union Jack scarves and trying to find, because I've got some very lovely ones, but the problem is when you order them online, as you tend to do, because you can't just go as like, I'm going to go to Flag Ties R Us and pick up a couple of flag ties. You kind of have to look online, and some retailers don't say this is a skinny tie. And so I've got a lovely, it's black, white, and red. I love it. I can't wear it because it's like that thick, all the way, and it's like, so, but I'm also just as I added, I'm also looking at adding socks, because I usually wear Union Jack socks or something British themed, like Doctor Who, because I like the idea of, if I end up in a situation where I get caught up in the ropes and I'm upside down and my slacks slide down, you can see my slacks. I like the idea of having something, not pizzazzy, but a little people will go, that's a neat detail. I like that. And I've actually found a company, the same company that I actually get my scarves made from. They also do socks, dress socks, and crew socks and things like that. So I'm looking at having some Rabid Empire themed socks done, just so that I can have them. And if people end up liking them and want me to sell them, sure, I'll sell them too, just like I sell my scarves. But there is there's something nice and neat about having little bits of wardrobe flair.
Awesome. So you are a manager and you've done commentary and you've done announcing, but when I met you at Diamonds Are Forever, you were actually in Rose's YouTube chat. So how is that? Like, we're in this age of social media and everything. So like, how is that a new way to interact with fans? So how is that for you?
It was awkward for me, and the reason why it was awkward is I'm not, I was there. I showed up at the Diamonds Are Forever show in support of Brittany Howland, Brittany Nicole, she has had a relationship, a professional relationship with Kevin over at Reality of Wrestling for a number of years, and had done a show. I think it was like one show where Title Match Network had done a ladies' night type show, and Brittany had been doing commentary for them, so I was just there to be supportive, I brought my gear, I brought my clothes, and so that I could look the part if for some reason I got tapped for something, because one of the things that Skandar Akbar taught me was never go anywhere without your gear, because you never know when someone's going to go, hey, we need you, and I put that to the test once, and ended up getting, and there's a picture somewhere on the internet. I'd been trying to work for a company for years. I met Texoma Pro Wrestling, and I went to a show that they did in Oklahoma. I didn't have an Oklahoma license. It had no blood work done. I was not in any way, shape, or form prepared legally to be involved in the show. And I ended up getting tapped to come to the ring with the Crown Prince of Crimson, Al Farrat. And I had, because I wear, often wear a casual sports blazer, and he gave me a keffiyeh head wrap to wear to come to the ring with him. But I'm wearing a Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring, the silhouette where they're, and I'm
Yeah.
wearing that to the ring because I said they're not going to use me. I'm not. And apparently they went to the commission. The commission representative was there. It's like, look, we're going to send him out to the ring. He's not going to touch anybody. He's not going to be involved. He's just going to be there, but he's not going to get involved. And the commission went, okay. And I'm sitting there going, so I don't even look the part, but I'm there. And so, I brought my things, just in case. And it turned out that they needed someone to handle, a point in the YouTube, which, do a little bit of interaction and get some engagement going, but make sure that, because YouTube has this thing where, people can donate money and they get flagged, and anybody who paid money, shout outs and that kind of thing. And so, shout outs to talent, shout outs to, shout out to family member, just kind of the normal things. And I see it a whole lot in chat environments like this, for pop culture, and a group of fandom menace guys that I listen to called the Midnight's Edge. The Midnight's Edge will do a long live stream. They do like 3-4 hour live streams. I can't even pay attention to all of it. It's so long. But if you want to engage in the conversation, you make a donation and send your comments. And so that's what this was, is people wanted to engage and send donations. And so what I was there is just a little bit of, engagement with the fans. And then when someone said, wanted to donate something and say something about like Vert Vixen or Hyann or Rachel Rose, my job was to lean over so that Miss Brittany could look at it and go, oh yeah, and you're right, so and so, because as a matter of fact, the gentleman that was on here earlier, Ryan Romano,
Yep.
was very, very active. Ryan's very active in most things.
Yeah.
I see him as a beneficial fan to have around, because he is very enthusiastic. He is very passionate, and he is not afraid to express that either through positive comments or even through financial donations and purchasing merchandise and stuff like that. And I love our fans. In a whole global, I love our fans. But the ones that are willing to do little things to help, purchase, little things to support, like Gail, who mentioned earlier, Gail and her husband Corey, and their brand new baby girl, Everley. They drove from their home in roughly the DFW area all the way to Lubbock to watch West Texas Fury Fest, and they've already purchased. They already own some Rabid Empire merchandise, and showed up and purchased a scarf and one of the brand new figurine action figures that I just had delivered to me at the show. And fans who do things like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you love us, and I'm thrilled you love us, and the fact that you're paying to walk through the door, to watch me work, or to yell at me, or to say terrible things about my parentage, I appreciate every single fan that's there for that. Because if you're not there doing that, then SWE Fury or whatever other company I'm working for doesn't have a reason to use me, because nobody cares. But when you come to the merchandise tables and you purchase a picture, or you pay for an autograph, or you buy a piece of memorabilia, uh, that has some really incredibly powerful ramifications to a lot of our lives. Well, I am not yet in a position in my career where I can say wrestling is the only thing I do. So every time that somebody purchases a piece of merchandise from me, you help me get one step closer to that ideal. And the folks that do say, this is all I do. I don't do anything else. I just do wrestling. When when you purchase things as a fan, especially on the independents, you do something more powerful than you could ever realize. You know, because we've all seen on Facebook that the support local business, because this thing that you purchase here could be paying for ballet lessons, or could be paying for this. You're literally paying for us to have the ability to have our lives and live our lives. And Rob will learn more about the kind of thing I'm talking about as he grows, in his skills and his talents as a referee, and as you know, having a fan invest their money in what we do directly. You pay for something having to do with me, and the talent that I work with and the talents that I show. Well, that's powerful. And again, that's one step closer to achieving a dream goal, which is to only have to do this. Because if I can only do this, then I can focus so much better at doing this, and then making more people uh, happy or enjoy what I'm doing. Whether it's whether it's you love me, or you just love individuals that enjoys and loves professional wrestling villains. I know I used to be one of those as a kid. My father and I cheered for Ted DiBiase in a house show while he was beating on Dusty Rhodes, and fans looked at us really angrily until I realized that my dad was wearing his clerical collar, because the Episcopal Church wears collars like Catholic priests.
Yeah.
And so, literally, a woman looked at my father and then leaned over to her husband, and the loudest whisper you will ever hear was, and I'm quoting exactly, so please forgive me for the language, but she said, and I quote, "Watch your fucking language. There's a priest down there."
That is funny. That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely I got into independent wrestling about 2 years ago.
Mhm.
And of course with the pandemic and everything it kind of stopped. But yeah, I love it. I love taking the trips, the 4 hour trips to Houston. I went to Elevate Pro last night, Brittany's organization.
Mhm.
Had a blast. That was like about a
Good.
2 hour and 30 minute drive. I love it, and I love meeting the people. And like I said on my Twitter page today, I was like, you meet new people, you make friends, and you can even make friends with the wrestlers. Like it's
Mhm.
awesome. And that's what we were talking about earlier. Like if people haven't really got into independent wrestling, they should, in the indies, because it's a totally different thing.
Mhm.
It's different from WWE, it's different from AEW, it's different from Impact, it's different from ROH, Ring of Honor. So
Mhm. Oh yeah.
you get to actually make friends. They call the wrestlers are calling me by name. Like last night, Vert Vixen was like, "Hey, Kathy," you get to become friends with these people, and it's
Right.
amazing. And it's a totally different animal, and it's awesome.
Well, and the other neat thing about supporting independent professional wrestling is you get to watch people grow. grow their careers, grow their talents. I mean, like for example, you know, uh, before Ember Moon became Ember Moon, I worked shows with Ember.
Mm-hmm.
Before Keith Lee, was showing the WWE universe that he was limitless. You know, I worked with Lee, broke bread with Lee. Keith is Keith's an incredible fellow. Now, and same with Fuego del Sol and Vert Vixen and Sammy Guevara, and so when you're involved in independent professional wrestling and you start to make those personal connections, the 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 elevation of that talent to the next level becomes so much more significant, so much more poignant, because you got to see these people as they were, dragging themselves up by their bootstraps. Thank you, Gail.
Yeah, it is amazing. It's kind of like when we do this podcast, like we've had people, we've had Thunder Rosa, we've had Vert, we've had all these people, and to watch them grow. And I've said it on the show before too. Like, I feel like a proud parent. Like, you watch your children grow, and they go off and they're successful, and it's amazing. Like, to just watch them grow and to be a part of it, like from almost not, if you weren't there from the beginning, but you kind of you get there. I've been like in it for 2 years, and I get to watch them grow for these past 2 years. And there's so many people, like Rachel Rose was in AEW, like all these people getting AEW chances. Will Allday is another one. Like, the list goes on and on.
Oh yeah.
And it's just all these people that you've seen. You're like, wow, look, you become like that proud parent. You want them to be happy. You want them to be successful, and to actually watch them do that, it brings a tear to your eye. Like, it's amazing.
Like
It's so
was
awesome.
it AEW just came through the DFW Metroplex, and now some of the fans that I'm friends with on social media were sharing pictures, and I look at one picture and looks like a 6-man tag is getting ready to start, but on the outside, the 3 guys that are standing outside are all friends of mine. Now, Chandler Hopkins and Izzy James and Cam Cole, and I've worked with all 3 of them for years, and broken bread with them, and had conversations, and had real human contact with them, and to see them and all of these other people who are getting these beautiful opportunities. Well, it's uplifting. It's exciting. Wow, and I, it's to one of Remy's earlier comments, where you want these opportunities. You want people to have this. Wanting a company to go away is foolish. Want the company to change. Want the company to appreciate things better. But to go away, no. Want more opportunities for people, and more excited. I'm excited. This is one of the best times to be a wrestling fan, because you've got so much choice. You got so many opportunities, and because of and this is the part that's most exciting, because of the mediums through which we can watch professional wrestling. All right, because of things like Fight TV and YouTube and WWE Network, you have this amazing opportunity to watch all the wrestling you want, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, how can you as a wrestling fan today be jaded about the product? There's too much product. I don't like what WWE is doing. Then don't watch it. Watch something else. Watch SWE Fury. Watch watch. Oh well, I think AEW is too flippy floppy and too spotty. Then don't watch it. It's that simple. Go watch something else. There's so much good wrestling today. Now, why be mad? Why be upset? Well, Keith Lee wasn't on WWE programming for a majority of this year. Well, if you're mad about that, well, show your support for Keith. Well,
exactly.
If you don't like that somebody's getting attention in AEW, don't mention their name when you're tweeting about it. Well, don't get me wrong. The companies need to have their control and do what they feel is best for the company. But a company that completely ignores the fans' reactions is foolish. And years ago, as a fan, I happened to be in the same hotel that WWE's Raw roster showed up for. It was the same night that Shawn Michaels debuted as a member of the NWO. Okay, so Shawn returned to wrestling, and I ran into Shawn Stasiak, and I've had the pleasure of since then working with him professionally. Shawn's a very fascinating cat, but he was doing the Planet Stasiak gimmick, and I loved it. I thought it was great, and it was like, and I went to him and said, he was open. He was very, very open to talking to fans. It was really neat. And I said, what can we as fans do to help you? And at the time, Twitter wasn't really a big thing. Social media didn't really exist. And he's like, bring signs to shows. When merchandise drops, buy the merchandise. If an action figure's out there, buy the action figure. Posters, etc., etc., etc. Now, in the day of social media, not only is it buy the merchandise so that the company sees that there is actually a financial draw, but if there's somebody that you like, tweet about them, post about them, hashtag them. If there's somebody you hate, don't say anything. Don't complain about them. Don't do anything. Radio silence on what you don't like. Because when you complain about what you don't like, and if it's something you really don't like for example, if you don't like me because I'm a horrible villain and I'm this terrible bastard of a character, I hate him, but you love watching me get mine. And you love watching the story of me doing whatever it is that I'm doing, and then me reaping the benefits of being a villain. You reap what you sow, you evil bastard. If you hate me in that sense, tweet about me, hashtag about me, social media post about me, all you want. If you hate me because you think I'm a drag to the business, and you think that all I do is cause problems and make things horrible, don't say anything about me. Because in this day and age, it's the money and it's the attention. And if you give something you don't like attention, it's still attention. That's all there is to it. So
that's true.
You got people that you love in wrestling, hashtag about them, tag them in things. Do whatever you can to make sure that the companies that they work for, or the companies that you want them to work for. Because, look at Fuego del Sol. Fuego del Sol has been what's it, something like 25 appearances? 25 appearances at AEW. If I could be wrong on the number, but I think 25 appearances, 24 losses, 1 victory. And somebody somewhere inevitably went, well, he's only won once. And as somebody in the business who would love an opportunity like that, but I don't have near the talent the Fuego del Sol has, don't get me wrong. I look at that and I go, that's 25 wins. Because he was on TV, he got paid, and now people are starting to clamor for Fuego because they want Fuego to get a contract. That's what you do. That's how you want somebody on somebody's program. Tag them. Hey, at SWE Fury TV. Hey, why don't you use at Nigel Rabid to win the title from Charlie Haas because Charlie had killed me, literally. Send. You send those things. Companies want input. They, don't get me wrong. They want money because they're companies. If they don't have money, if you don't put coins into the coffer, they can't pay us. They can't pay for venues. They can't pay for production. They can't, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You have to watch the product. You have to put your butt in the seat. You have to buy merchandise. Those are the things that you have to do to keep these companies going, to keep SWE Fury going. I kind of feel that WWE at this point is a perpetual motion engine. But, NWA, now Impact, Ring of Honor, AEW, et cetera, New Japan Pro Wrestling, even the local places, Metroplex Wrestling, SOAR Championship Wrestling, Texoma Pro Wrestling, they need your support. But if you don't say, I like this or I don't like this, more appropriate if you don't say, I like this, because everybody says, I don't like this. I mean,
Right.
come on, you watch a pay-per-view, that's all you hear.
Yep.
Oh, I hated this. Oh, if I'm sitting in a room with a bunch of my friends and I watch a pay-per-view and I don't like something, I will complain to them. I'll never get on social media and complain about it. One, who am I to complain about what a company that has redefined what professional wrestling is and does in the world? Who am I to say, oh, well, I thought that ending was shit? I've been blessed in my career. I've stood in front of 70,000 fans in Dehradun, India. Now, I have literally traveled around the world. Only stopped 2 places, but literally traveled around the world. Well, in this business, because of this business. And I know for a fact, I am no one to criticize what somebody like WWE is doing, or no one to criticize what somebody like SWE Fury is doing. I work for them. Who am I to say they did that dumb? If I think that something was dumb in a company that I worked for, it is my responsibility to go to creative and go, hey, I don't like, I don't like this direction, or I don't want, can we find a compromise? Because I know you obviously want to go this way, but I think it would be better if we went this way. Can we find a way to go that way? Now, sometimes creative is open for those things. Sometimes sometimes people go, I didn't look at it from that point of view. That's a really good point of view. I was only looking here, but you bring up this stuff over here. Now, but as a person in the wrestling industry, last thing I should be doing is criticizing any of the companies that are considered a tier that I want to get to. And I'm blessed beyond words to be in a place like SWE Fury, because they give me an opportunity and a platform that if I'm not meant to be in their tippy top, that they give me a launching platform to try and create a better future for myself in this business. And that's just the truth of it. And as fans, we have a responsibility to the companies that we love to support the things we love. And if you don't like something, don't talk about it. Don't get me wrong. Get together with your friends and complain about things. Talk about should have done this better. Should have done this better. But if you talk about anything in professional wrestling, whether you liked it or you hate it, you're still creating traffic for it. And the more traffic, the more interest. The more interest, the more the company that you're talking about goes, maybe we should keep going in this direction.
Yep, definitely. And what you said, like social media is very negative. Everybody has to say, it's almost like the norm. Like everybody has to be negative, especially in wrestling. But there's positive things in wrestling, and I know one thing for you personally is you met Brittany Nicole through wrestling, and as I told you in person, congratulations on your
Thank you.
engagement.
Thank you very
And
much.
you two actually met, we're going through, there's still a pandemic, and you two met during the pandemic. And you actually posted that you just went on like your first actual date, like you went to the movies. So
Yes.
like what was it, like I'm pretty sure, other people are dating too, like in the pandemic, and it's different times and stuff like that. But like
Mhm.
how was it, dating in the pandemic? Because like I said, you two just went on like an actual first date,
Yeah.
in public, because you could do that now that the pandemic's kind of subsided a little bit. But what was it like to date in the pandemic?
Well, first, let me say this is, Brittany and I have known of each other in professional wrestling for as long as she's been in the business, so about 6 years.
Okay.
But we had never met face to face. As a matter of fact, we were laughing when we started dating that I would, because there was a period until my friends list started getting a little out of control. It was my job to say happy birthday to every person on my friends list, and that included Brittany. And there were a number of just happy birthday messages, and a like for it, but never any conversation between the two of us. And it wasn't until she had gotten a job with SWE Fury. So, SWE Fury has professionally changed my life and personally changed my life because um, when we did the Lava Cantina show in for God's sake, Frisco, Texas is where Lava Cantina is, I think. Um, when we did the Lava Cantina show, one of my goals was to go introduce myself to her because I had worked for a number of years in Full Throttle Wrestling for my friend Teddy Knoll in Lake Charles, Louisiana. But I had always wanted to work in New Orleans because I'd been to New Orleans once in 2000, I think it was. No, 99, I think. It was the 1 year old, the memory goes. Um, and I had enjoyed myself but was completely unprepared as a human being, as a young human being, for being in New Orleans. And I wanted a chance to go and enjoy myself. But because I'm doing professional wrestling, it's a lot harder because wrestling takes up a lot of weekends. And, it's hard, especially when you're doing a 9 to 5. It's hard to go, well, I'm going to go do this and have a good time and spend money that I could be saving so that I could, go do a wrestling show, on the following, 3 weekends or what have you. And so it was my intention because I knew that she was the owner of Elevate Pro Wrestling and the first female promoter in the history of the state of Louisiana. And, I'm engaged now to wrestling history, and it's very exciting. But I wanted to introduce myself, shake hands, and say I'd really when things are less pandemicy, I'd like to come and work for your company. I think it'd be a lot of fun, and I'd like to come out to Louisiana and that kind of thing. And so you know we shook hands and we had that conversation, and then I managed to, because Lava Cantina has a balcony. It's a live music venue and they have the balcony that overlooks things. And I caught her on the balcony, and she was, I can't even remember if a match was going on. I think a match might have been going on, but I went over to talk to her, and this is of course in the pandemic days, so she's got this stunning black mask that she's got these rhinestones, strategically placed for maximum fashionability, all of, and and so I get just her eyes. And Brittany has some of the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen in my life. And I took a look into her eyes and I just fell. And we started chatting. And I suppose saying that our date was at the quote first date is probably a little inaccurate, because we did go on a Valentine's dinner, uh, uh, but that wasn't because our mind is that's a dinner, that's Valentine's Day, that's not that's like going out with the family for Christmas dinner, that's not a hey, we're doing this kind of milestone moment, that because Valentine's is you pick it up from it and you set it over here and goes, oh, no, that's something special, that's something different. uh, but when we first started talking to each other and first started going out, we just she was living in Louisiana and New Orleans, I was living here in Plano, Texas. So it was a lot of phone conversations and FaceTime conversations and text messages, and and we really benefited from it, I feel, because we spent a lot of time talking to each other as human beings and getting to know each other, instead of doing things in a lot of the faster pace that a lot of people do today. You know, and now she started flying into Texas to come in, oh, she's got work over here, but she's going to fly in like a day early and, spend, some time with me, or, she's got a stopover. It was, she flew in from, oh God, I want to say it was a GCW show in Florida. And she flew in and had a layover for hour and a half, 2 hours at Love Field. She messaged me to say, hey, I've got this, I've got a layover. I was like, cool. I'll pick you up from the airport. We'll go to like a Starbucks and get a cup of coffee and sit and chat, and then, I'll take you back to the airport. And that's exactly what we did. So, the dating and the interaction was was a lot of connection building and talking, and uh, when she finally moved to Texas. Man, I've probably mentioned like a half a dozen times already, I'm a big movie buff, I'm a big film nerd, and I had talked up my favorite movie theater chain, the Alamo Drafthouse. I talked it up huge to her. She was very interested in going to see a movie with me, even if most of the movies that I like are movies that she kind of goes, oh. So we got an opportunity to, movie theaters were open, and I have, with I think with very few exceptions, I've seen a majority of Marvel Studios big comic book films in the theater on the big screen. And I was very thankful that they did the Black Widow movie on the screen, instead of going, oh, we're going to do just a release on Disney Plus or whatever, because I did that with the Wonder Woman movie, Wonder Woman 84, and the only thing that I was glad about that is I didn't pay money to go see Wonder Woman 84. I enjoyed the first Wonder Woman movie; it was brilliant. 84 just felt like a train wreck, and now. I kind of looked at her. I remember the night that I wanted to go was the night that she was doing podcast with you all, and we were going to try and
Oops.
well, see, I had scheduled it, and I'm looking at it, going, I can get this done. We'll just go after. Well, I had a podcast with the Friends of Fury that night. And I talked about as much as I've talked this evening. And they started later. So, it was about 11 o'clock at night, or no, it was about 10:30. It was about 10:30. And she's like, and she's getting close to her first show back from the pandemic. And she's having to deal with some, Elevate Pro complications that are going on there. And she's like, I'm just not in the mood to go see a movie right now. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. And like 2 days later, because I forget, we had something going on the next day. And 2 days later, I look at her and I'm like, we got back from the gym. We'd done a later night, evening at the gym. And I looked at her and I said, I'm going to go shower and get dressed. And why don't you go get dressed? And she's like, I mean, I was planning on it. I don't know what you're talking about. And then, I'm getting dressed and I'm trying to be very, very casual about everything, very kind of, I'm not doing anything sneaky. But whenever I'm doing something sneaky when it comes to her, I've always got kind of a smile on my face. And so she's like, he's up to something. I just don't know what. We get dressed and I look at her and say, all right, let's get in the car. She's like, where are we going? I don't know. Get in the car, motor off to the local Cinemark. And we pull into the parking lot and she's like, are we going to a movie? And I kind of look at her and go, yeah. She's like, are we really going to, first date, we've been together for, I mean, we're getting close to a year now. This is the first date. And she's like, we're gonna go see a movie. And so it was, it was a real exciting, really delightful thing to do, a real human connection, and to get to understand, because everybody's got their little things that they like doing at the movie theater, I like my popcorn, heavily salted with that artificial butter salt that they use instead of the artificial butter fat, because I guess I enjoy high blood pressure. I don't know. And I enjoy having for some reason Twizzlers when I go see a movie, and if the cinema has it, a cherry Coke. That's kind of my thing. And she apparently also enjoys popcorn, and liked the Twizzler, and she enjoyed the cherry Coke. But we just, it was just nice. Sitting there and trailers pop up and I'm sitting there and go, ooh, I want to see that. And she's like, yeah, so do I. And then, other things pop up and, like M. Night Shyamalan's new movie. And I kind of went, that looks interesting. And I don't know if I want to watch it yet. M. Night Shyamalan. But yeah, no, it was a wonderful experience. Thank you for asking.
Awesome. Yeah, then you get to watch the previews and plan more movie dates.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, you mentioned she was on the podcast, and she said you were on one too at the same time. So yeah, and then she did mention, before I turn it over to Rob, she did mention this, and I have to ask you because it's pretty funny.
Okay.
She said it doesn't matter like what people say in a British accent. Like you could say the meanest thing, and it still comes out cool. And I have to ask you, like, what is it about British accents that, like, even you could say anything right now, and I'd still be like, that's awesome that you said that. It's the British accent. Like, what is it about the British accent?
Well, I mean, especially coming from an American standpoint, I think the big thing is that, especially because of cinema, and like for example, Star Wars. Let's use, because I mean, not just because I enjoy Star Wars, but because Star Wars is a huge example of this. With the exception of James Earl Jones, every villain was British. Every single one. So everyone spoke with, some variant of a British accent. And I think because of things like that, and because of this, what the cinema has done with Sherlock Holmes, and it is given the British accent, regardless of which British accent it is. I mean, I've heard people listen to some of the joking accents of Ringo Starr. Ringo Starr sounds a lot like this. And everybody goes, well, he sounds really rather posh. And I sit there and I go, he sounds a bit dopey, really. I mean, don't get me wrong, the man's a musical genius. But it's I'm sure it's cadence and a number of other things, but it's just like it's just like German. You listen to a German, someone speaking German, and it sounds like they're cursing you to every plane of hell, and they were just reading directions for a recipe. No, but I think a lot of it, especially in this country, comes from the perception that we've been given through things like cinema, and now in this day and age, more social media. Because when we find out what stereotypes are, unless the stereotype is something we find offensive, we tend to play into it. Because it's kind of like in the Black Widow movie, the Red Guardian, and the Russian accent that David Hayter had. He sounded like like that. I don't know if brute's the right word, but he sounded like a man who used more physical strength and finesse. And that has always been kind of the stereotype of the Russian people, is that they the bear, and it's all big and strong, and my friend Dmitry Alexandrov would probably be very mad if I intimated that he wasn't someone capable of finesse, because Dmitry is very capable of finesse. He's also the Vladimir Putin's least favorite wrestler. Vladimir Putin has literally blocked him on Twitter. That's how incredible Dmitry is. I love Dmitry. I think once people find what a stereotype is for things like an accent, and I think that so long as the stereotype isn't offensive, we just play into it. That's my 2 cents on that. I only took so much psychology, so.
Yeah, the British accent seems like you seem more polite. Like, you could tell somebody off, but it would sound the most polite way. It'd be like, oh my God, he just told me off, but that was so cool.
I've done that. I've done that. We were also, thanks to Monty Python, we're also ascribed to being very witty. So we can be scathing in our insults, but as long as it's mildly amusing, people will be like, "You're such a funny guy." And it's like, it's like I burned you so bad your ancestors feel it, and they don't feel anything because they're dead.
Yeah, like, he roasted me, but that accent's amazing, so I take it,
Right? Absolutely.
Yep. Well, before I turn it over to Rob, just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. I wish you all the best, and like I said, happy engagement with you and Brittany, and
thank you.
Can't wait for you guys to get married and start your lives together, continue your lives together, actually, and wish nothing but the best for you and for her.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
All right, Rob.
All right, sweet. Thanks, Kathy. So what's going on, Nigel, man? How's the night treating you, man?
Well, I'm long-winded, Rob. I'm long-winded.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, man.
I'm glad you guys are enjoying it, because the one thing I do really, really well is talk. So I'm just having the time of my life. But I just need to let you know, Rob. I don't work for Elevate Pro.
I know. Hey, it was a little confusion, but hey, I mean, if you look at me, I don't even know where I am half the time anyway. So you know,
It looks to me like you're caught in between the best of two time travel science fiction films.
Oh, there you go. And I got my Magnum PI shirt on, you know, because hey, dress for a job you want and stuff, right? Hey,
Absolutely.
that's right. Hey, I need a mansion, you know, I mean, a Corvette and stuff, man. You know, living in Hawaii, man. You know, Delaware's a long way off, but I'm trying.
Look, I'm gonna tell you right now. I don't know that Hawaii's. I mean, Hawaii's beautiful. I've got friends that live in Hawaii, and it's a beautiful, beautiful country. But ooh, the cost of living.
Ooh, yeah. See, that's why I like Delaware, man. So we don't have any sales tax or whatever, you know, like 99% bag of chips, you know, I give them $1, I get change back, you know.
That's
Some
nice.
other places, man, I go up there, it's like at the 99 cents, and it's like, oh, you get $1.25. I'm like, ah! All right, here you go.
Same in Texas. Is you get a pack of crisps for 99 cents, you give them $1, they ask for at least 7 cents back, or at least 7 cents more.
Oh yeah, I remember the first time it happened to me. I was my aunt lives in New Jersey, and I went to buy a poster. It was $5, and I was like, "Oh, I got $5 right on me." And they're like, "Yeah, $5." I was like, "No, this is $5." I thought they were trying to rip me off and stuff. You know, my mom was like, "Oh my God, here." And I'm like,
right?
Oh, okay. You know, like.
I mean, they weren't trying to rip you off. It's the government.
Yeah, you know. It's like I was yeah, because I own my own property, but I gotta pay property tax. You know what I mean? Every year. You know what I mean? It's like, what in the world is this, man? This is some bullshit. I cut my grass all the time. Y'all don't do that. I mean, So I did want to ask you, like you went to the movies the other day, and I wanted to ask, how did you enjoy Black Widow? Was it? Did you enjoy it? Was it pretty good?
Loved it. Really enjoyed it. Really, I kind of feel that I kind of feel that Black Widow should have been the precursor to Captain Marvel, not the other way around.
Okay.
But in terms of, you know, we've been seeing that character in the cinema for you know, the better part of a decade. You know, it'd be kind of nice if you gave that character a platform themselves instead of, hey, we're going to bring in a brand new character. And don't get me wrong, the Captain Marvel movie was a fun film. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm looking forward to what they're going to do with that character as well. But you know, I also have a fondness for the super spy aesthetic. You know, call it the loyalty to things like James Bond. But you know, I really enjoyed the film. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing more of those characters that we saw for the first time in that movie. I want to see more of them in the future.
Now, did you get to see the Loki on Loki show on Disney Plus yet?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we just finished watching that the other day, and I think my favorite. Someone was trying to make a critical comment about it, and I loved it because someone said, you know, I really love the new Doctor Who that Tom Hiddleston did, and okay, because it does have a very, very interesting kind of Doctor Who feel to it, but. I really enjoyed it. If I've got any complaint on it, I think my complaint would be I didn't care for the fact that the season ended with a wait a minute, what? And it wasn't not really a cliffhanger, but it was one of those. Of the 3 series that Marvel's done with Disney Plus, I felt that the ending on Loki was a little less satisfactory because it ends and you know the story is really just beginning. Whereas while they did something very similar with WandaVision didn't feel like we have to get to we have to know what's going to happen next because And I think that's one of the interesting things with Loki. Loki ended every episode in Loki ended with that kind of cliffhanger. You've got to find out what's going to happen next week, and I appreciate that for the was 6 episodes, the 6 episodes that they ran that show for, because that kept you on edge to you wanted to see what was going to happen next. But I think by ending it with that same kind of cliffhanger, to me, I was dissatisfied, because you watch that and you like, now I have to wait an undetermined amount of time because we don't have an actual idea as to when season 2 is going to be launched. Thankfully, they did announce a season 2, but it's one of those things where you just kind of sit there and go, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I really felt should have been titled Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is too much "the" in one title. But Falcon and Winter Soldier, while there is the cliffhanger of what is going to happen now that Sam Wilson is Captain America, and what are we going to do with that, and how is that going to grow in the Marvel Universe, there was still a feeling of this story has been told. This story is, the story was finite, and the same with WandaVision. It had a very kind of finite ending to it, but still a feeling like there's more that we can learn from, and there's more interesting things that are going to happen. But other than that, I loved it. I think it may actually be my favorite of the Marvel shows, because it was light where it needed to be light, emotionally heavy where it needed to be heavy, comical when it called for it, but not so funny that it felt like it was a joke. Now, I think of the Marvel shows, it was exactly the kind of thing that, to my mind, Marvel needs to keep in mind and keep as a template for what they're doing going forward. Because having a message is important, and I enjoy stories with a good message, but you can't forget to tell a story and be entertaining and give me a reason to want to continue to watch. Falcon and Winter Soldier kind of got a little close to being heavy-handed at a couple of times. Not so much that it turned me off to the show. I was still very, very, very much forward, very interested and into it, especially because Falcon and Winter Soldier talked to some of the unaddressed aspects of being a different ethnicity than white in America. And I think it had some very significant things to say. But I think that when they tell the next bit with everything that they've learned from the other shows, I think that they're going to manage to very succinctly put the message in that they're wanting to get communicated, and still entertain, because that's the way that you change hearts and minds. You don't change hearts and minds by being heavy-handed about something, because somebody invariably is going to dig their heels in, and they're going to be upset with the program and they don't know why. They'll insert well, I didn't like it because of this, or I didn't like it because of that, or I felt that, and when you sacrifice story for message, then you lose the ability to get your message across to people who need to have their hearts and minds changed. And so, I think, I think a lot of really great things are going to come from the small screen cinematic universe with Marvel, and I'm hoping that some of the rumors that I've heard from some of the live stream and podcast people that I pay attention to, I hope they're going to be true, because in that case, um, we're going to be primed and set for some really incredible storytelling.
That's right. Yeah, because Disney Plus, they're doing a good job with it now. They also got Star Wars shows coming up. What's the one coming up? It's the Obi-Wan one coming
Hmm.
up, right? Isn't that the next
Yep.
one?
Oh, I think that's the I think that's the next one is going to be uh, schedule and things have been a little bit muddled. But I know that Obi-Wan is coming. We've got Ahsoka, a show based off Ahsoka Tano coming. There is rumors that the Guardians of the New Republic may get greenlit again, but Guardians of the New Republic will, if it gets greenlit, it's not going to get. We're not going to see it in 2021. We'll see it maybe 2022. And I think I think the goal is end of the year we'll see Book of Boba Fett, and then we'll see season 3 of The Mandalorian start of 2022. God, it's hard to believe we're already halfway through the year.
I know. Yeah. That Mandalorian, man. See, I'm kind of. I wonder what they're going to do with that, because Mando and Grogu, Baby Yoda, they went their separate ways. Are they going to tell like two different stories, and then they just come back around at the end?
I think what they're going to do is they're going to take Mando in Mando's direction and let us learn and understand more about Din Djarin, and if we see anything cinematically about Grogu's journey, we will probably get a separate thing entirely. Probably with Mark Hamill involved, as we had that beautiful. That was that I was in tears when that happened, because that final episode happened. I had contracted COVID, and I was literally it was watching that episode that was where enough of the fog of having been, because I'd had it for about 3 weeks, and I'd been bedridden for that time, and it was when that episode happened that a lot of the fog of COVID had lifted from me, and I watched that episode, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm a big enough Star Wars nerd to say I was in tears, and immediately rewatched the episode, and then like 2 days later, sat Mom and Dad down and made them watch the episode. So I think that if we're going to get something dealing with Grogu's story, it's going to be something that is going to be a vehicle for Disney to tell more of what happened with Luke Skywalker between the destruction of the Empire and honestly whatever.
Uh-oh. No, cut out again. It was like, Rob, we're tired of you and your Star Wars and Marvel talk. Y'all need to cut it out. They did the Joey Gladstone from Full House. Cut it out.
I used to watch that. Used to laugh when he did that.
Yeah. He was because didn't he end up doing the child show too? Oh. Hey, you're back.
Yeah, so I think it'll be whatever between what happened at the end of said Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and then whatever we've got going for, whatever ends up going forward, because now the rumors that are going around are that There's going to be some machinations going on storyline wise to change the future canon of Star Wars, so that what we got in 7, 8, and 9 is not 7, 8, and 9. They're going to, I don't know how they're going to redo something, is what the rumors are now that there have been some creative changes inside Lucasfilm. So who knows? I'm just excited for it. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I mean, on this phone, I've got something like 300 ebooks from the Star Wars universe. Both the extended universe canon, which is no longer canon, and the new. As a matter of fact, I'm struggling my way through The Last Jedi right now. Didn't like the movie.
That one was that last one. Because I keep thinking, that one was a slog to get through, man. It was
Yeah.
The newer ones I wasn't too fond, man. Like this might be a hot take, but man, I'd actually prefer the prequels better than the newer ones. Like the prequels, like I wasn't fond of them, but 20 years have gone by, and I'm like, man, these newer ones, they were just like, it was just a retread of New Hope and all them. That's all it was. Like,
I don't mind the retread of New Hope in The Force Awakens, because I get one, if you look at Force Awakens and you look at Star Wars: A New Hope and you look at Phantom Menace, they all have the same underlying themes. They're all kind of dealing with the same kind of, it's just in Phantom Menace, it's not a droid that you're that you're having to escape with. It's Queen Amidala. But I liked 7. I love Rogue One. I love Solo.
Oh yes, Rogue One was great.
But 8 was a very beautiful film, but I don't like the story, and I don't like the direction that some of the cast were given. I think everybody performed their roles brilliantly and did a wonderful job. And it's not their fault that I don't like characters. But I think 9 was written in such a way that they tried to walk back things that people found offensive as a part of canon in 8. And I really think that they should have gone with that leaked script from Colin Trevorrow. If you've not read it, Rob, there's a couple of readings that have been done online. I recommend giving that a look and a listen, because I really think that script would have been a much better and much more epic story to finish something that is very loftily titled Star Wars. But in that regards, especially with the stuff that's going on within Lucasfilm and on the backside, I think it's a very exciting time to be a fan. It's interesting is right now it's an exciting time to be a fan for a lot of things. Exciting time to be a DC fan because of the things that are going on with Warner Brothers and the HBO Max and all of those things. Exciting time to be a Marvel fan because of what's going on with Lucasfilm and or what's going on with Marvel Studios and what's going on with Disney Plus. Exciting to be a Star Wars fan because of everything's going on there. It's exciting to be a Star Trek fan because it's been announced that they're going to make another Star Trek movie with this more recent cast. Now it's exciting it's exciting to be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan because of the Last Ronin storyline that they've been telling, and it's just a lot of really incredible and creative stuff, and I think a lot of it is due to the fact that a lot of people had a lot of time to kill during the pandemic, and the people who are creative, who have confidence in their creativity, had the ability to go, let's try this. see what happens. You know, there's a lot of neat things going on in the world, and and it spills, and when we have a lot of creativity like that, a lot of it spills into things like professional wrestling, and you end up with something like like SWE Fury, where you got a company who is doing something that nobody else has done, and legitimately opening up the doors to other companies of similar stature to go, come on, try your hand, see what you can do. So, that's exciting.
That's right. Now, I did want to talk about, speaking of exciting, man, you were talking about earlier, you going to like India and Pakistan and being in front of 70,000 fans and stuff.
Yes.
Now, what was it like? Because I got to see, that Pakistan, when you were cutting the promo for, doing that show and stuff. What is it like over there in Pakistan? And what, because you never hear about wrestling in Pakistan or, all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, especially being, an uncouth American like myself. You know what I mean? Like, I don't hear any of that stuff. You know what I mean? So, what's it like over there? Was it pretty awesome? Like, the fan, all that.
The fans in Pakistan, I mean, one, they're just like fans here in America. The biggest difference is that they're not trying to be as the term is, smart marks. They just want to enjoy the show. They want to have a good time. They want to the fans are, and both in Pakistan and in India, the fans are enthusiastic. They're passionate. They're excited. I've been to Pakistan now twice for Pro Wrestling Federation of Pakistan. Once for the Rumble in Pakistan, and then for World Wrestling Champions, and stopped by staff, and the thing that, whereas in America, you've got a better chance of being stopped by young people, kids. They want to take pictures. They want to, you got stopped by everybody. Everybody wanted to, Pakistan being a Muslim country, and this country having, I think the easiest way to describe it is kind of a skewed view on what the Muslim the Muslim faith is and what the Muslim people are. You don't always know the right way to interact, because you don't know what's acceptable. You don't know what isn't acceptable, because they, as part of their culture and their religion, they have some different guidelines as to how to behave, and so you have to kind of like try to restrain, but at the same time, I had old people who have probably, and when I say old, I'm talking like probably 50s, 60s, 70s, come up to me and ask for pictures. And which for me is always, especially when it's over in India and Pakistan, I'm just the MC. I'm just the announcer. I do commentary. And there are, you can find pictures and video on my Facebook where after the Rumble in Pakistan, the fans swarmed around the ring, and I am literally surrounded by, and everybody wants to take a picture with me. Everybody wants, Nigel, say Pakistan Zindabad. Pakistan Zindabad. Now, what have I just said? That kind of thing. And the fervor and the passion and the joy that the Pakistani and the Indian wrestling fans have is just so incredible and so infectious. The first time the Rumble in Pakistan, the show ended, and it took me almost, and the show was being held on the grounds of the resort we were staying in. so I could walk literally to and from my hotel room. Okay. It took me almost 2 hours from when the show ended
Ooh.
to get to my hotel room because people were so excited and that, people wanted pictures and, and I'm one of those people. I want to give back. I want to, people spent their money and they came and, I'll, I try to spend time with people. I try to talk to people, because I understand very strongly that, people's money translates into their time. And so the money that they've given us, that's time out of their lives that they've spent to put that into our hands and to elevate us and to help us be these personalities and these characters and these creations that we are. And so I work very hard to try and be even though I'm a villain in professional wrestling and very nasty and terrible, and I get into arguments with children, and tell them their parents raised them wrong, which always gets interesting expressions from the parents, by the way. You, you, I want to make things significant. I want to make, if someone has an interaction with me, and it's not a good interaction, unless I'm doing something as a character thing, where the reason why they didn't have a good interaction is because they called me a cheater, and I have just torn into them for accusing me of cheating because I never cheat. That is is slanderous, and I take offense to it. Um, you know, you know, if I don't try and make that interaction something special where someone walks away, with this good feeling about having done that, I'm not doing something right. And it's a hard thing to remember to do it sometimes because professional wrestling is a business driven on emotions, and so we let our emotions run with it because that's the way that you get passionate about things, and that's how you go. Oh, if Nigel's getting upset, people go, oh, and you latch onto those emotions, and latching onto those emotions is how you get invested. That's how you come away with a feeling of you either hopefully you'll invest more emotionally with the good guy than the bad guy, but when Nigel's getting angry and like you're excited because now you're under the bad guy's skin, you're going to get to him, and sometimes I forget to do those little things to to engage, to talk, to give people a reason to want to come back, to want to dislike my character and the things that I do, because you're not supposed to like me. I'm a jerk.
Yeah.
I make fun of children. And but back to the Pakistani fans and the Indian fans, that they're just like you and me. Now the difference is that they're less jaded about the business and less jaded about what's done, because they've only been paying, especially in India, they've only really been paying heavy attention to it since they've had Kali as a hero, and now Jinder Mahal and the Bollywood boys, and NXT has got Shanky Singh and Suki, and that part of the world has finally got somebody to get behind that is from from their countries, and they've gotten very excited about it, very enthusiastic about it, and they're all very all very wonderful, warm, caring people, both the Pakistani and the Indians. Probably some of the best experiences of my life going over there and being a part of that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, was the food all right there? Because the only Pakistani food that I know of is like when I watch a Seinfeld episode where he was like, "Oh no, man, change your restaurant to a Pakistani restaurant, man." Yeah, and then the dude went out of business. He's like, "Jerry Seinfeld is a very, very bad man," you know.
But, you know, the food over there is great. I enjoyed it. Although I will put the caveat in Dreamworld Resorts, they worked harder to provide something a little bit more Americanized, more international. I guess would probably be the better way of saying it. They provided a more international palette because their menu included everything from local dishes to Asian like Chinese fried rice and those kinds of things, to more traditional American type uh, chicken, breaded fried like chicken tenders and things like that. Um, in India, because we were actually on tour in India for our first run, so we were in Hardwari, Dehradun, and Ludhiana. So we were there for 2 weeks, and we did travel, and we ended up hitting a bunch of different cuisine styles. So I got a much better sample of that. Much better sample of that cuisine in India. Very well. We were very, very well and very healthily fed in both countries. And I will say, Pakistan has got, I think my favorite coffee I've ever had has been out of Dreamworld Resort. They serve a coffee that they referred to as a white coffee, and very heavily creamed. And I'm not sure what the cream was, but I must have drank 4 or 5 of those coffees in one night, and I've only found one place here in the States that has anything close to it, and that's a coffee shop in Frisco called Summer Moon. And if I get a full moon coffee from Summer Moon, that reminds me of the coffee at Dreamworld Resorts. I did have in the last trip to Pakistan, I did have the opportunity to go to we wanted to go shopping, and so they snuck some of us out to go shopping with armed security, and we were expecting to go to like a bazaar and purchase more ethnically equivalency type gifts, like wardrobe, saris, things like that. They took us to a mall, and it was really very, very interesting being inside. Guards walking around with Kalashnikov, so there's always AK-47 when you absolutely totally have to kill every mother in the room except no substitutes. But because we were in a mall, we also happened, there was a food court. So we go up to the food court because we hadn't had lunch yet. And was it JTG and Alberto Del Rio, I want to say, went to Burger King. I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken. But the interesting thing is that nothing of what we had was anything that you would have here in this country. And this is about the time I realized that anytime that I'm traveling internationally, especially if I end up someplace that's like a modern mall, like an airport or something, that I have to try to see what the differences are versus the Western fast food, and now they've incorporated it into, American cuisine, or incorporated into local cuisine. So really, really kind of neat.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, is it one of those places like I hear everybody going to Mexico is like, yeah, don't drink the water, bring your own bottle of water, and because
No, yeah,
it's like
absolutely.
that there.
No,
Okay.
don't. As a matter of fact, when we were in India, one of the things that we learned to pay attention to very quickly was when you go to open up a bottle of water, did you break the seal on the bottle of water, or was the seal already broken when you opened it?
Okay.
Because some places were getting, a little bit, they're drinking a lot of our bottled water, so we'll just refill the bottles. And that was disastrous for some guys who weren't paying attention. As a matter of fact, my friend Apollyon saved me the day that we were leaving Hadwali to go to Dehradun, and that was literally like a 12, 13-hour bus drive. And he literally, I'm opening the bottle, I'm getting ready to drink it. Nigel, don't drink that. I was like, what? He's like, it didn't pop. I was like, what? No, he's like, no, it didn't pop. Put it down. He hands me another bottle. And as I'm thinking about it, opening it up, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Because I cracked the bottle open. You hear that. And I was like, oh, he's right. I did not hear that when I opened up that. Oh, yeah. Being on a bus trip and having that kind of gastrointestinal distress is not. No, I'm out. I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah, you ain't trying to sit there, with your, sitting on the toilet with your head in a bucket for 13 hours. Woo, man, no.
Well, the worst part about it is the buses were very comfortable, but they were not, not designed for that kind of, if you needed to avail yourself to the facilities, you had to stop the bus. So, yeah, that's the thing. I don't want to be the reason we're an extra hour late just because I'm dying in the restroom.
That's right.
But yeah, no.
Hey man, are you using that hat? Using that hat?
Yeah. The guys on that bus, not the guys you want to borrow their hat. No.
That's right.
No.
That's right.
Yeah, this is some of the biggest guys I've ever worked around was working for Kali.
Ooh. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, because I bet Kali, man, I bet CM's huge. Because I remember the biggest person I've probably ever seen in my life was the Big Show. And I seen him at a live show, and he come walking by, I was just like, oh my Lord, I didn't know humans could get that big. And I remember he fought Eddie Guerrero, and I remember him doing one of the slash and stuff. He's like, shh. And I remember when Eddie Guerrero, he was done and stuff, man, Big Show's whole handprint was on his abdomen. Middle finger was up here. Palm print was down there by the belly button, man. I was like, oh, man, Eddie, oh, man.
Yeah, and I think Kali, because I've met that night that I ran into everybody at Raw, I met Show, really nice guy, but working for Kali, met Kali, shook Kali's hand, my hand disappeared inside his hand, and it just great fellow, Dalip Singh, wonderful person. If Kali called me today and said, I need you on a plane at the end of the week, I'd be gone. Go to work for the man any day of the week. Wonderful person. Right. Took very good care of us in India. Of course, to be fair, Nami Suleiman, my boss in Pro Wrestling Federation of Pakistan, has taken very good care of us. He has made sure that all of our needs are. As a matter of fact, I was in Pakistan when episode 9 released, and I had wanted to go see the movie, and so he and Dream World Resorts arranged, because my flight was later in the day on Monday. He arranged that I get to go to the movie theater. Actually, now that I think about it, was taken to a lovely coastside restaurant. And when I say coastside, I mean literally it was built on the coast, and it was like how you see those old boardwalks, where it's on the edge of the ocean. It's like that, the boardwalk, and then each dining area was a little room extended out. So we were completely over the water, and we had an amazing dinner there. I think my favorite was the mutton. The mutton was so flavorful. But the mutton, I'm a huge fan of hummus anyway. And you put garlic in anything, and then I'll try it. But just thinking about it,
that's right.
Yeah, but they've taken very good care of us. Over in Pakistan and in India, it's been a huge blessing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, before I have one more question before I pass it on back to Remy, man.
Okay.
See, I cannot grow facial hair for anything. You know what I mean? Like, when I was 12, I had a hairy chest. From here down, I was, I had hair and all, but I didn't start shaving until I was like 21. You know what I mean? I was bass backwards, I guess. You know what I mean? And man, you always do some awesome facial hair stuff, man. You know what I mean? Like, where do you get the ideas for that, man? How long does that take you, man? 'Cause I have what is it, facial hair envy? That's what I'll call it.
So this stemmed from, and I refer to this style with this and this. I refer to it as the governor. This came from initially one of my favorite villains in the Batman comic books is Ra's al Ghul. And Ra's has been depicted either with a straight Fu Manchu and then it hangs down, or something more like this. And so one Halloween, I did this, and this all, and I looked at it, I went, I kind of like that. I wonder if I can get away with it in professional wrestling. And so what I ended up doing is I ended up putting, because I've also, especially since Sting started sporting them in the latter years of WCW, and Sting started sporting the soul patch. I've always been very fond of the soul patch, especially the soul patch that has the tail going down. So I started doing, you know what, I'm going to do that. And so, this has kind of become my signature look, although I will occasionally have to go and do everything all over. But it originally stemmed from DC Comics Ra's al Ghul, and I just kind of made it a little less recognizable as that character's facial hair by adding a few other little flares to it. I think my favorite is people have literally, I've had some very clever people look at me and go, well, now we know where the rest of Hitler's mustache went.
Oh man, crazy. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, when you said that Ra's al Ghul, I was like, yeah, he looks like that, or he looks like Liam Neeson. You know what I mean? So hey, either or.
I mean, kind of the same, isn't it?
There you go. That's right. But yeah, man. But before I pass it back to Remy, I want to say, thank you very much for taking time out of your day to come on and chat with us, man. Yeah, I had a blast chatting with you, man. The stories you're telling, man. Yeah, I had a blast, man. I could sit here for a couple more hours, but people got work in the morning and stuff and all like that, and I'm getting a little hungry, so But man, yeah, hopefully we get you back for part 2 and all that, 3, 4, whatever we need to do, man. Hopefully, man, it's awesome, man. And I wish you nothing but the positive things, man, for you and your family. I hope all the great things happen to you in your career and all that good stuff, man.
Thank you very much, Rob.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Remy, it's all you, man.
Nigel, thank you very much for actually taking time out of your busy schedule to be on our show. I know you're busy. We know you're busy planning your next step in professional wrestling and SWE and so on. I got to check out a show. I see you guys are doing big things. And I actually have a huge respect for, the Texas wrestling scene. I've been very fortunate to actually check out 2 shows in Texas. I don't know if you remember these, if they're still around. You probably do know about them. ACW, Anarchy Championship Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's owned by Darren. I forgot what his last name was.
Childs.
What was it?
Darren Childs.
Darren Childs, yes. Actually, my kayfabe cousin, Angel Blue, actually wrestles there, and yeah, I got the chance to meet her. So, but yeah, it's a great atmosphere. I enjoyed it. I remember you mentioning Jason Silver, and I was like, wow, that's the Giant Killer, and I call him the Giant Killer because he once wrestled a guy and beat him, and the guy was like twice his size. So, and I also got to see Athena and Su Young there at that same card as well. It was actually a pretty good time. But yeah, we do intend to have you back on with Brittany sometime, actually in the very near future. If both of you are up to it, we definitely like to have both of y'all back on as well. But before we let you go, where can fans find you if they want to find when your next appearance is, when's the next SWE show, and where can bookers or promoters find you if they'd like to, or matter of fact, where can fans find you if they also want to purchase merchandise, and where can bookers and promoters find you if they want to book you for their shows?
So, well, let's start with the complicated one first. Merchandise. My merchandise. I have a shop. We just set it up. I don't know the website for it because like the adage goes, for behind every successful male is a intelligent woman telling him what to do. That is exactly what's gone on with that. Is Brittany is very, very instrumental in helping me get my online shop. I had one years ago, and then it was really kind of a cheap and easy. It was back when Square was, you sign up for Square and you're doing that thing with Square and they give you this free online shop. And then when they started offering Squarespace, they did away with the website, and it literally took me like 4 years to realize they had done away with it. that's how bad I am at some of that. But I am quite positive that it's I know it's on my Facebook page for the Rabid Empire and the Nigel Rabid. I need to actually pin it into my Facebook page itself. But one of the easiest ways to get merchandise, of course, is to come to a show. I'm also not opposed to people contacting me directly and saying, hey, I'd like to purchase, can and we'll make I don't do well with the cash apps, but thankfully, Brittany is again instrumental in helping with a lot of that, and she can certainly and has certainly helped me with that. Yes, I have said that to fans about my facial hair. Oh, and Brittany is sharing it. See, like I said, behind a successful guy is a intelligent and capable woman telling him what to do. But there is also as far as bookers contacting me, really the best thing is Facebook direct message or Twitter, Instagram messengers. You can email me at therabidempire@gmail.com, but I'm very terrible about keeping up with my email. I've got something like 20,000 unread emails. I sign up. I had a friend who signed me up, a dear friend. He's no longer with us, but he wanted good things for me. So he'd sign me up for every contest that he could find. I'm not realizing that is, part and parcel of some of the, spam and other wonderful email things. So, I only go into my mailbox when I know I've got some mail that is important to me. But you can reach out to me directly. And SWE also has a direct fan or a direct contact. Book our talent. You can find that from the SWEfury.com Facebook page. As far as where I'm going to be in the near future, I know that I will be doing commentary for VIP Wrestling this Friday, July 30th, for their tag team tournament series. It Takes Two. I will be in support of Brittany Nicole at Mission Pro in, I believe it's Conroe, Texas, is where the Mission Pro show is. I'm just the chauffeur. She points me in the direction and I just drive. And then I will be at SOAR Championship Wrestling at the beginning of the month. The date is in there somewhere on my calendar. I'm not looking at it. I apologize to Sir Mo for not knowing the date off the top of my head. August 7th, I'll be at the Rail Club in Fort Worth, Texas for the Indie Wrestling Expo. I am at Texoma Pro Wrestling the third Friday of every month, and at Red River Wrestling the first Friday of every month. I am at DFW All Pro doing commentary and managing on the second Friday of every month, and I think they're back to doing a fourth Friday show. Of course, SWE Fury will be August 28th at the Las Colinas Convention Center on top of myself, Charlie Haas, Jack Stain, Rodney Mack. You also will have the opportunity to see the lovely and vivacious Brittany Nicole, and there is, as mentioned by Kathy, the Big Papa Pump will be there, Scott Steiner. I think that's everything for the month of August. I could be wrong, but I think that's everything for the month of August. I might have an appearance with Christian Wrestling Federation. I'll have to double check with them. But they're out of Fate, Texas, in a wonderful faith-based ministry, which tells the story of good and evil through professional wrestling, and does a lot of good ministry at the same time. It's really rather excellent. And you can find New Japan Pro Wrestling star Barrett Brown, myself, SWE Fury stars Bam Bam Malone and Big Fitz, as well as SWE Fury star Adam Asher, former NWA World Heavyweight Champion Tim Storm is also a regular. As a matter of fact, he and Mr. Asher just won a tag team tournament cup in which their friend Angel kicked me in the face, but we won't talk much about that. But yeah, that's I think that's it, Remy.
Awesome. So once again, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. Really and truly do appreciate it. We here at Ringside Society, we like to talk to everybody on different sides of the spectrum. It doesn't matter if you're a wrestler or a promoter or a manager. Hell, we've even talked to a camera guy before, and even the person that was doing the entrance theme music at one, well, not for WWE, but he was doing it for independent wrestlers. But we talk to everybody. So, I mean, we don't care. The fact of the matter is that y'all put on a show for us. We definitely want to hear from y'all. Doesn't matter what part of because I believe there's two spectrums. There's the wrestling side, which is the managers, the promoters, and the referees, etc., etc. And then there's the fandom side, which is we actually have a segment called 50 Minutes of Fandom, where I found these two troublesome co-hosts of mine. They started off on that, and then I was like, you know what? You two are kind of mischievous, but I will still take you on. And every time I get mad at Kathy, I'm like, Kathy, I'm about, you know what, you're, and then she's like, I just got such and such. I'm like, okay, all right, you can stay on. So, yeah. But yeah, speaking of which, Gail Lewis, if you're still there, if you'd like to be a guest on our show, definitely hit us up. We don't mind having you on for 50 minutes of fandom. But yeah, honestly, Nigel, thanks for all that you've given us. Thanks for all the years that you've put in.
Thank you.
We really and truly do appreciate it as fans of the sport as well. And
on that note of you interviewing a lot of people, let me recommend to you my good and dear friend DJ Tony Snow. He is our sound engineer for SWE Fury. He also does commentary for Texoma Pro Wrestling and Red River Wrestling in the Sherman area. And Tony he's also been working on a podcast series with Teddy Long, and he and Teddy have they're literally waiting for the launch from the launch from their investors, but they've got a full season of podcast recordings done, and Tony's a great guy.
Awesome. We'll definitely look into him and get him on real soon as well. Like I said, we talked to anybody. We're actually looking for gear makers too. But they seem to be a bit shy. But we'll still keep trucking. But with that being said, it is time for us to close the show. You know, my eyelids are getting heavy, so that means it's time for a nice nap. But before I do so, Kathy Knight, where can fans find you on social media if they want to talk about wrestling, be on the show, purchase merchandise, and all that good stuff?
So I'm on, let's see, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Discord, and Twitch, all at BLUE70517. And I was just on the Keita and Jay show. We talked about top 5 SummerSlam matches and how I got into wrestling and all that good stuff. That's at Keita, KEDANJAY show.
Oh, cool. You know you're under contract with Ringside Society, right? We don't allow. No, I'm just kidding. I should be an actor sometimes. I don't know. Rob Bass. Where can fans find you on social media if they want to, talk wrestling, if they want to be on the show? Where can bookers and promoters find you once you finish your referee training and your manager training and all that good stuff if they want to book you on their shows, man?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at Rob_Base82, and then Facebook and YouTube, Rob Base.
Awesome. And also, if y'all want to follow our mod, Alicia the Warrior Princess from the best side, which is the west side, she's actually on Twitter and Instagram under @EndoSurvivor282. Definitely give her a follow. She's a very enthusiastic person, very passionate about what we do. And so with that being said, one more thing. If you want to find me on social media, not that I have anything cool to say, but who knows, maybe you'll get lucky. You can find me on Twitter under @TheRemyBlue. Don't judge me. Yes, I was on Tinder. I'm still single. But yeah, if you want to find me on social media, you can find me on Twitter @TheRemyBlue. You can also find me on Facebook under Remy Blue. It's a picture of me at WrestleMania 28. Our podcast is also on social media. Yes, we're on Instagram at Ringside Society, and we're on Twitter under @Ringside Society as well. Follow us on both those platforms. We have a lot of cool stuff. We also have a Facebook group. Yes, if you guessed it, the name is Ringside Society. You're correct. Check out our group. We're also on Twitch under Ringside Society 2019, and we also have a Teespring store. Yes, we have a lot of cool merch over there. Grab a shirt, grab a coffee mug, grab a face mask, grab a tank top for the hot summer days, grab a long sleeve shirt for the cold winter nights that are about to come. All proceeds that we get from those sales go back into keeping this show afloat. And last but not least, follow us on YouTube. Yes, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a lot of impressive interviews on there, such as this one, such as the one with Brittany Nicole, such as ones with I almost said Heidi Morgan, Princess Victoria, Chris Bornier, who actually just did the documentary for Lady Wrestler, the awesome and untold story of African American women in the ring. If you're a huge fan of women's wrestling, check that out as well. And also people like Maddie Rankowski, Jasmine Allure, etc. Check out our YouTube channel. We have a lot more cool stuff coming as well. But with that being said, we want to thank everybody that tuned in tonight live. We know it's been almost 4 hours, and we really and truly appreciate you, sitting down and hearing us shoot the breeze about pro wrestling and so on. Those of you that are going to listen to us later on, thank you in advance. And those of you that hate us, can't stand us, really and truly wish we'd go away, well, I'm sorry you feel like that. But like Rob Bass in Hershey, Pennsylvania, we're not going anywhere for a while.
They hate us because they ain't us.
And we ain't stopping. So with that being said, we here just want to let everybody know that we're very well aware that everybody and their grandparents and their parents have a podcast. But we're not your grandparents' podcast. We're not your parents' podcast. As a matter of fact, we're not just any podcast. Hashtag we are not the same. Rob Bass, Kathy Knight, one time for the mind, one time for the people, one time for the wrestling culture, and one time for the color commentary, color / play-by-play commentator, pro wrestling manager, actor, writer, and poet, Mr. Nigel Rabid. What type of podcast are we?
All right, 3, 2, 1. We're the Wrestling Fans Podcast.
That's right. We're the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society. And with that being said, we will be back this Monday with another impressive guest. Hell, I'll just go ahead and say it right now. Our next guest will be this Monday, Nightmare Factory graduate, Haya Lobo. That's right. He will be gracing our show with his presence and shooting the breeze with us about wrestling. But until then, we're still going through a pandemic. So stay safe, stay healthy, be excellent to each other, and party on, dudes. We out. Peace.
See y'all. Good night. Stay classy, Delaware.
Bye.